Chapter 610. Wang Feng continued, but we have been in the illusion for so long, and only Xiao Wu's illusion appeared, and it was because Tang San missed her too much. That's obviously not right. I'm guessing that this 100,000-year soul beast is fighting with another soul beast, and we've entered by mistake. So, this star five-headed dragon doesn't care about us at all. Although they were very strong and were all soul emperors. But in front of a 100,000-year soul beast, a soul emperor was about the size of an ant. What Brother Feng said is possible. Tang San said in a deep voice, my blue-silver domain can't be used at all here, it is suppressed too much. But if this kind of soul beast wants to attack us, it's too easy. But we haven't been attacked yet. Tang San had just reached rank 60, so it was naturally impossible for him to compete with the domain released by a 100,000-year soul beast. So, we just have to wait now. Oscar was also very smart. He pinched his chin and said, wait for them to finish fighting and remove the domain. We just have to be careful of the people or things in this domain because of our imagination. With that, Oscar's spirit was shaken. A beautiful girl suddenly appeared in front of him, looking at Oscar with a faint smile and slowly walking over. Damn, isn't this sister-in-law? Ma Hongjun said in surprise. Oscar, you're quite bold, huh? Are you playing around here? Wang Feng and the others also looked at this girl and knew that this was the girl Oscar was thinking of. She was good-looking and had a gentle face, but there was a special power between her eyebrows. Ha ha ha, I can finally be the master, Oscar said proudly as he sent the girl flying with a kick. Everyone. Ma Hongjun wiped his cold sweat and whispered, Xiao Ao's opponent's aura is very strong, and her talent is slightly higher than Xiao Ao's, so she often suppresses Oscar. A typical henpecked husband. Now, he actually used the 100,000-year soul beast's domain to intoxicate himself with victory. I'm really convinced. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Wang Feng also smiled. This domain wasn't very strong for them. It was estimated that the star five-headed dragon was concentrating all the power of the domain on the opponent. That was why they could see through it so easily. In that case, my Yu-Er is the best. She's obedient and sensible. She's a good wife. Dai Mubai chuckled. F***ck. Doesn't that mean I'm the most miserable one? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but say angrily, I don't even have someone I can imagine. Everyone. At this moment. In the distance, a figure suddenly walked out of the white fog. Who thought of this? Ma Hongjun asked in surprise. In just a few seconds, the figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. In an instant, everyone was stunned. Why are you still here? Tang San's eyes turned cold. The person in front of him was Xiao Wu. At this moment, Xiao Wu was also stunned when she saw them. Then, he was stunned, and several soul rings lit up on his body as he charged towards them. F***ck. Something's not right. Why did Xiao Wu attack as soon as she arrived? Oscar was a little confused. Mistress, what are you thinking? I wasn't thinking. Tang San shook his head and said, even if I was thinking of Xiao Wu rushing towards me excitedly. How could she be attacking me? At this point, Tang San suddenly froze. I'm afraid it's really Xiao Wu. Wang Feng was a little speechless. Tang San's heart pounded violently again. He shouted in a low voice, Xiao Wu, it's me, Tang San. Hearing this voice, Xiao Wu smiled disdainfully. Your fantasy seems to be quite advanced? Sorry, you'll be the 100th Tang San I've killed. Of course, I can't deny that you should be the most handsome and the most fake one among the 100. It seems that the ugly dragon is going to lose. I didn't expect even the power of his domain to weaken. Go to hell. With that, Xiao Wu charged at Tang San. Tang San. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect to meet under such circumstances. However, he was sure that the other party was Xiao Wu. The 100th Tang San, how much did Xiao Wu miss him? Tang San's heart clenched. In this domain, the more one missed him, the easier it was to form an illusion and fall into it. Ahem, Xiao Wu, stop fooling around. We're all real. At this time, Dai Mubai and the others walked over and showed their soul rings. Soul rings can't be fake, right? Seeing this, Xiao Wu stopped and looked at the crowd in disbelief. Xiao Wu, I'll protect you for the rest of your life. Don't you remember? Tang San's voice was a little hoarse. Hearing this voice, Xiao Wu trembled and tears welled up in her eyes. Third brother. The two hugged each other so tightly that they wanted to squeeze each other into their arms. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. A trace of surprise flashed in Wang Feng's eyes. It seemed that De Ming or Air Ming was fighting with this soul beast. Tang San and Xiao Wu hugged each other for a long time before they separated with red faces. You're here too. Xiao Wu looked at everyone and said with a smile. Suddenly, she turned to Wang Feng and asked, by the way, who is he? Tang San, who was still holding Xiao Wu's slender waist, smiled and was about to explain. At this moment, ripples appeared in the space around them and spread out in all directions. The scene around him started to blur, and then it became clear again. Roar! Not far away, two enormous figures were entangled with each other. Wang Feng looked carefully and saw that it was indeed Air Ming. He was fighting with a five-headed dragon-shaped soul beast. Air Ming was waving the club that he had given to him. The powerful force created by the club was so strong that they could feel it clearly. Their bodies were too big. From Wang Feng's point of view, these two guys were as big as Ultraman in his previous life. No wonder their domain could cover such a long distance. However, swish, swish. Suddenly, dozens of silhouettes rushed over from afar and surrounded the group of people. Then, 6 figures surrounded the group of people in a horn-shaped formation. These people were all dressed in tight robes, and it was impossible to tell where they came from. However, each of them exuded a powerful aura, especially the 6 figures in the air. Titled Douluo. Tang San's heart sank. He recognized 2 of them. Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Dalu. These people were from the Martial Soul Hall. Why are they here? There was only one possibility, and that was because of Xiao Wu. But why did they coincidentally bump into us at this time? It was as if they had been waiting for us for a long time. At this moment, the Chrysanthemum Douluo said respectfully, Lord Popetiff, it's time to make a move. P.S. I like the number 9. And I'm sure you like it too. So why don't we? Chapter 6:11. When the Chrysanthemum Douluo finished speaking, Tang San and the others were stunned. Popetiff? What Popetiff? Has the white-clothed Popetiff been following us? Where is he? The Chrysanthemum Douluo's words confused Tang San and the others, but the sense of danger in their hearts grew stronger. There were 6 titled Douluo present, and at least 30 soul emperors or stronger. There were even more than 10 soul sages among them. Apart from the Martial Soul Hall, no other organization could bring out such a lineup of soul masters. The sense of danger in Tang San's heart was at its peak. Has the white-clothed Popetiff been following us all this time? Why didn't the 6 of them notice him? How is this possible? What should we do in this situation? Who is Popetiff? I think I've heard about him from the Soul Masters in the Great Star Do Forest. Xiao Wu whispered, Are these people from the Martial Soul Hall? Xiao Wu had never left the Great Star Do Forest, so she didn't know much about what had happened outside. Ha 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 ha, it seems like these kids can't tell? It seems like the Holy Lady was right. Wang Feng must have leaked the information to Ning Fengji himself. The Chrysanthemum Douluo laughed. The situation of these people made them feel that their guess was right. Even these people who were so close to Wang Feng didn't notice Popetiff's disguise. It was impossible for them to see through it. The only possibility was that Wang Feng discovered it himself and reported it to Ning Fengji. At this moment, Wang Feng slowly said, Yes, it's time to act. Let's take them all down. When his voice rang out, everyone was shocked. Following this, Wang Feng slowly put on a mask. Tang San was very familiar with this mask. It was the white-clothed Popetiff's mask. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed across Tang San's mind. "You are the white-clothed Popetiff!" Tang San exclaimed. "How is this possible? It's you!" Tang San abruptly recalled the scene of them reuniting, and it was as if something had been jolted awake in his mind. Every single detail of their reuniting appeared in his mind like silk being spun from a cocoon, and it finally exploded with a bang. "It's over!" This thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. As for the rest of the people, they were completely stunned. "He's not Brother Feng. He's the white-clothed Popetiff in disguise." Tang San gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. "He's been following us all this time because he wants to catch Xiao Wu." In an instant, Dai Mubai and the others were stunned. "I don't believe me." Zhu clenched her hands as she looked at Wang Feng. She didn't believe it. Anything could be faked, but it was impossible to fake feelings. Zhu Zhuqing believed in her intuition. She furrowed her brows seemed she knew something. But Wang Feng didn't. In the next moment Soul 6 says. He activated. His 6 activated all his 6 opened his soul with the amplification from the 6 blood patterns and his physical strength. His strength was close to that of a rank 96 titled Doulu. Bang bang bang. Like a phantom, Wang Feng shuttled back and forth in front of them. Oscar, Dai Mubai, and Ma Hongjun didn't even have time to react. They were knocked out by Wang Feng. There was no need to say anything else to prove his strength and speed. He really is the white-clothed Popetiff. Zhu Zhuqing's mind went blank for a moment when she saw Wang Feng charging at her. Whoosh! As the one with the fastest speed among the 6 of them, her reaction speed was naturally extremely terrifying. However, her opponent was too fast. Just as her martial soul entered her body, the white-clothed Popetiff had already appeared behind her. He knocked her out with a karate chop and she fell to the ground. She faintly heard a muffled voice. "Don't worry, it'll be fine." 4 people were knocked out in an instant. Only Tang San and Xiao Wu were left. As a spy, coupled with Wang Feng's strength, once he made a move, they would have no chance to react at all. Cough cough, be careful, Lord Popetiff. The chrysanthemum Douluo hurriedly reminded him. The 5 of them are very important. It's best if they're alive. If they die, they'll be killed, especially this soul beast. Does Lord Popetiff need you to remind him of his strength? The ghost Douluo laughed. Lord Popetiff only knocked them out. Their mission was to capture these people and control them, especially Xiao Wu. If they killed her here, it wouldn't be worth it. No one could absorb a 100,000-year soul ring. This trip was surprisingly successful. The snake spear Douluo laughed. We only relied on Lord Popetiff to complete our mission. Compared to the previous soul-hunting mission, this trip was extremely successful. Elders, be careful. At this moment, Hulaina reminded them, there are a few powerful soul beasts not far away. Although there were 6 titled Douluo, the auras of those 100,000-year soul beasts were extraordinarily strong. They had followed Wang Feng all the way and naturally knew about them. However, they weren't too afraid now that they had completed their mission so smoothly and were about to leave. At this moment, Tang San held Xiao Wu's hand tightly and intertwined his fingers. There was no chance of survival in this situation. Third brother Xiao Wu's eyes were filled with determination. She slowly said, "Even if I die, I won't be captured by them." "Don't talk nonsense." Tang San's mind was spinning rapidly, and he surprisingly calmed down. There must be a way, there must be something wrong. However, no matter how he thought about it, he didn't feel that there was anything wrong. There was no chance of survival now. Tang San looked at the white-robed Popetiff. This person was pretending to be Brother Feng. He was the white-robed Popetiff, and his strength was unfathomable. He wasn't someone he could fight against now. There were 6 titled Douluo and dozens of soul masters who were soul emperors. It was unrealistic to want to escape from such a lineup. This was his only chance. Tang San's mind moved, and the blue-silver grass around him grew rapidly and extended endlessly into the distance. In terms of strength, his blue-silver domain wasn't very strong. However, this was a forest, and he could control the blue-silver grass in the distance. "Kid, do you still want to resist?" The chrysanthemum Douluo frowned and said, "Come back with us obediently, and you can still keep your life. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." This person was Tang San. They clearly remembered the battle 5 years ago. "Don't act recklessly," Wang Feng calmly said. "Come back with us, and the two of you won't be hurt." "Go back with you?" "Sure." Xiao Wu suddenly chuckled. "However, the premise is that you can bring me and third brother out." As Xiao Wu chuckled, a scarlet light flashed across her body, and a violent roar suddenly sounded in the distance. Following this, the people from the martial spirit hall saw a huge creature slowly rising not far away. It was a huge soul beast with the head of a bull and the body of a snake. The aura it exuded shocked the 6 titled Dalu. Not only that, but several roars sounded in succession. Every roar was like a cannon that shot into the sky, shaking the heavens. Dong dong dong. The ground began to tremble. Seeing this, the 6 titled Douluo changed instantly. End of chapter. Chapter 612. His Majesty the Pope was right. The Qianjun Daluo's face darkened. This soul beast will attract other 100,000-year soul beasts. They might even be her companions or enemies. Judging from their auras, they are all 100,000-year soul beasts, and there are more than one of them. Do you think we will be afraid? Qianjun Daluo was a rank 96 transcendent Dalu. Naturally, they were not afraid of 100,000-year soul beasts. Guizhu and Qianjun Daluo were not afraid either. The snake spear and the thorny pufferfish were slightly weaker, but they were not afraid either. No, it's not just these two. At this moment, the white-clothed Popetiff suddenly said, "There are 2 more roaring beasts. It's another 5-headed star dragon and another headless divine beast. Quick, take these people and leave this place quickly. If we are surrounded by these 400,000-year soul beasts, it will be difficult for us to leave." Hearing this, the faces of the martial spirit hall members changed. 400,000-year soul beasts, and each of them was extremely powerful. As for the other 2 beasts, they had been paying attention to the white-clothed Popetiff when they came, so they naturally knew about them. Even if there were 7 titled Douluo, it would be extremely dangerous. One had to know that there were no ordinary 100,000-year soul beasts. Soul beasts would become extremely powerful when they reached this level. Of course, the stronger their bloodline, the stronger they would be when they reached this level. "Xiao Wu, this is?" Tang San was stunned as he looked at the several huge figures in the distance. He had used his blue-silver domain just now to lure the soul beasts over so that he could take the opportunity to escape. He did not expect Xiao Wu to be able to summon 2 of them. "They are my friends. They are called De Ming and Erming." Xiao Wu muttered, "The other 2 are enemies, right? I will lure them over. Third brother, I know what you are thinking. Later, we will take the opportunity to escape with our companions. Those 2 soul beasts are very powerful. Even De Ming and Erming cannot defeat them, 4 of them. These people from the martial spirit hall will not be able to stop them." Tang San heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He and Xiao Wu were telepathic. He did not expect her to have 200,000-year soul beasts. It was unbelievable. "There is one more thing. They want to capture me," Xiao Wu continued. "They definitely don't want to kill me, because that would be useless to them. As long as we know this, we can take the opportunity to escape." Tang San was stunned for a moment, then a smile appeared on his face. "We will go back with you." After speaking, Tang San used his blue-silver grass to help Dai Mubai and Oscar up, while Xiao Wu helped Zhu Zhuqing up. The people of the martial spirit palace were astonished when they saw the 2 of them bow their heads. Humph, you want to use us as weapons? The chrysanthemum Douluo waved a hand, and several dozen soul masters immediately surrounded the two of them. You've underestimated us. Push them back. With the holy maiden Hulaina as their leader, more than 30 soul masters immediately forced Tang San and Xiao Wu to retreat. But at this moment, the 4 soul beasts were already attacking. To be more precise, he had been lured here. Wang Fengxin's heart stirred as he looked into the distance. The soul beast that was battling Ming was most likely the 5-headed star dragon. This soul beast was no less powerful than Ming, and if it weren't for his staff, he most likely wouldn't have been able to defeat it. The 5-headed star dragon had a total of 5 heads, each of which wielded 5 different types of powerful abilities, and was extremely powerful in battle. The soul beast that was battling Ming, who was also the Sky Azure Bull Python, was the headless divine beast. It was about the same size as Ming, and even though it didn't possess the 5 different types of powerful abilities of the 5-headed star dragon, its body was extremely powerful, and it could inflict lethal injuries even in the simplest of melee battles. Xiao Wu had clearly appeared here because Ming and Ming were battling these 2 powerful soul beasts. However, all of them had been instantly drawn here. Even though the 7 titled Douluos were carefully controlling their auras, Tang San's blue-silver domain and Xiao Wu's intentional guidance had drawn all of their attention to this place. Human soul masters were a great source of nourishment for these evil and savage soul beasts. For example, the 5-headed star dragon had a single head that possessed the ability to devour. Even though this divine beast didn't have a head, it could still devour the bones and soul power of human soul masters. If they could devour a titled Douluo, then both of them would receive significant enhancements. Qianjun, Yenmo, you two take care of the headless divine beast, Wang Feng said in a deep voice. Guiju, you two take care of the bull python beast on the right. Snake spear-piercing dolphin, you two take care of that giant ape. I'll take care of that 5-headed star dragon on my own. Ming, Ming, and the 2 soul beasts were all charging toward them from different directions. If they tried to focus their attacks on one target, they would be easily surrounded, and they wouldn't be able to escape. Comparatively speaking, the stellar 5-headed dragon was the strongest. Even Ming couldn't defeat it, and Ming was evenly matched with the divine beast. Alright. Be careful, Master Popediff. The 6 titled Douluo's expressions darkened upon hearing this. They knew that these 4 soul beasts were the most powerful enemies they had to face. Wang Fengxin also felt a chill run down his spine. Excluding Ming and Ming, 200,000-year soul beasts were already considered overlords even in the extreme north. When he was in the extreme north, he had to use all his trump cards to kill an ice dragon whale. If he didn't reveal his identity now, he would have to face 400,000-year soul beasts at once. This was probably one of the difficulties of this mission. It's impossible to kill them. Qianjun and Yenmo might not be able to completely stop this divine beast, and Guiju and Ming might not be able to stop Ming. I have to think of a way to make them escape. Wang Fengxin thought to himself, and I have to do it secretly. Then I can only place my hopes on this 5-headed star dragon. However, right at this moment, as the 6 figures dashed out, the 2 soul beasts seemed to have seen through their thoughts. At that moment, the 5 heads of the stellar 5-headed dragon suddenly let out fierce roars. 5 different kinds of light were instantly emitted from the 5 heads of the stellar 5-headed dragon. At the same time, the 5-headed star dragon on the other side let out a muffled groan. Its groan came from its stomach, and it was very strange. Its ape-like body had 2 pairs of hands, and they were clenched into fists. At this moment, it was pounding its chest and back fiercely. Because they had fought before, these 2 soul beasts had different injuries on their bodies. Ming and Ming were the same. As the 5-headed star dragon and the 5-headed star dragon roared at the same time, a strange aura enveloped everyone. Domain. A domineering domain power surged towards them. This was the most powerful aspect of 100,000-year soul beast. They had a powerful domain. And it was very difficult for a titled Douluo to obtain a powerful domain. Most titled Douluo might not even have a domain, unless they used a martial soul fusion skill. Among the 6 of them, none of them had a powerful domain. However, as a team of 2, they could perform a martial soul fusion skill and possess a special domain power. Among them, the Chrysanthemum Ghost Douluo's martial soul fusion skill was the dual static domain. Qianjun and Yenemo were brothers, and they had the same martial soul fusion skill, the Thousand Layers Demon Subduing domain. However, the Thorny Pufferfish and the Snake Spear did not have it. Wang Feng knew this. After becoming Popediff, he had a clear understanding of the abilities of these titled Douluo. At this moment, seeing the 200,000-year soul beast's domains covering the entire place, the 6 of them did not dare to hold back. End of chapter. Chapter 6:13. At the same time, a beam of light burst out from the Tu Ming dynasty and spread toward the crowd. "This is great," Xiao Wu muttered excitedly when she saw this. Those 2 evil soul beasts seem to have given up on fighting the Tu Ming dynasty and are going to deal with them at the same time. These titled Douluo are doomed. Xiao Wu's voice became louder when she said the last sentence. Tang San nodded slightly. For soul beasts, no matter how evil they were, if a human soul master appeared, their first target would be the human soul master. The hatred between soul beasts would be temporarily put aside. Humph, nonsense. Hulaina looked at the 2 of them and sneered. Do you really think the Martial Spirit Hall is so weak? You don't know Popediff's strength at all. Ghost Elder, Chrysanthemum Elder, Qianjun, and Demon Vanquisher also have domains. As long as we drag them out, we will escort you out, and then they will be able to escape. With Hulaina in the lead, the 30 soul masters surrounded the 2 of them, leaving not a single gap. Tang San and the others all had chains wrapped around their bodies, and they were being held by 2 soul Douluos. In this operation, the 30 soul masters led by Hulaina were mainly responsible for dealing with Tang San and Xiao Wu. The other 6 titled Douluo, including Popediff, were sent by the Bibidon to prevent other powerful soul beasts from attacking. They were not to deal with Tang San and Xiao Wu. Otherwise, with the strength of the 2 of them, there was no need for 7 titled Douluo to capture them. They seemed to be confirming Hulaina's words. At this moment, the 9 soul rings of the Ghost Douluo and the Chrysanthemum Douluo lit up, and their martial souls came out of their bodies. A total of 18 soul rings slowly overlapped and fused together. A terrifying aura was emitted from the strange velvet sky chrysanthemum in the Chrysanthemum Douluo's hand. Wherever the light passed, everything seemed to be in a state of stillness. On the other side, the 2 rank 96 titled Douluo, Qianjun and Demon Vanquisher, were even stronger. The 2 coiling dragon staffs intertwined in midair, and the 18 shining soul rings overlapped and fused together to form a long staff that stood in midair and emitted a bright light. The Thousand Layers Demon Vanquishing domain could cause the overall strength of all soul beasts within its range to decrease by 30%. The 2 martial soul fusion domains bloomed in midair, and space seemed to overlap with each other. Waves of energy surged in this space. 4 titled Douluo and 2 domains. They were already very strong. Domains created by soul fusion skills were undeniably strong. All of you, retreat! The Snake Spear Douluo shouted at Hulaina and the others. The Ghost Douluo's demon vanquishing. Their roars suddenly froze. At the same time, the domains of the 5-headed star dragon and the divine beast general also descended upon the crowd. Old Ghost and I won't be able to hold on for long. The Chrysanthemum Douluo roared, and the chrysanthemum in his hand shone with intense light due to the fusion of his 18 soul rings. His domain was very strong, but it couldn't hold on for long against 4 100,000-year soul beasts. Their soul power was pouring out of their bodies in a frenzy. The soul power consumption of a domain like this was normally proportional to the strength of the enemy within the domain. The more powerful the enemy within the domain, the more soul power would be consumed. At the same time, they couldn't do anything. To put it more accurately, they couldn't do anything. De Ming's slowing domain and Air Ming's gravity domain were all exerted on them, and they were also using soul fusion skills, so it was very difficult for them to do anything. Most importantly, the domains of the five-headed star dragon and the divine beast general. The domains of these two soul beasts were far too powerful. Wang Feng and Tang San had accidentally entered the five-headed star dragon's domain, and it was an illusion domain. The domain that Wang Feng and Tang San had accidentally entered was only at the edge of the domain, so it wasn't very powerful. Furthermore, the five-headed star dragon was fighting Air Ming with all its might, and the power of the domain was all over Air Ming's body, so they were only able to withstand less than 10% of the domain's power. As such, they weren't in any danger. However, the situation was different now. The five-headed star dragon's illusion domain was completely exerted on Wang Feng and the others. This illusion domain was essentially a type of spiritual attack, and at the same time, it had the effects of confusion, insanity, illusion, and so on. Once one entered this domain, the amount of soul power would have no effect. It would only be affected by one's spiritual power. Wang Feng felt that it would be more appropriate to call this domain the illusion domain. In the instant that this domain enveloped the six titled Douluos, their bodies shuddered in unison. Their surroundings seemed to have instantly become empty. Thankfully, the seven of them were sharing the burden, so they were just barely able to withstand it. In addition to the weakening effects of the Thousand Layers Demon Vanquishing domain, the seven of them were just barely able to withstand the five-headed star dragon's domain. However, the domain of the Divine Beast General was far too lethal. If Wang Feng had to name it, he would call it the demonic domain. Within this domain, there was only one effect: soul power rebellion. The soul power in all soul masters' bodies would be in an extremely rebellious state. In such a state, a soul master's abilities would be greatly reduced. In serious cases, they might even be severely injured. When one's soul power was in a rebellious state, it meant that one couldn't even unleash the most basic soul skills. At the same time, the rebellious soul power would cause a strong impact to one's body. If this went on for a long time, the soul master would suffer internal injuries, and might even lose his life. These two powerful soul beasts were able to fight the great Ming dynasty's two Ming dynasty to a standstill, and they even had the upper hand. There was no need to doubt their abilities. Under the threat of these four domains, Wang Feng felt that he couldn't move an inch. The soul power in his body was restless, and the original Sin's domain could only be compressed around his body, barely resisting. Fortunately, Wang Feng's spiritual power was already extremely strong, and he managed to condense his third spiritual water droplet. However, the remaining 6 people, including those who were planning to retreat, weren't spared. The 6 titled Douluo directly endured the power of these 4 domains, and they all spat out mouthfuls of blood. The snake spear-piercing dolphin and Tang Wulin had wanted to attack, but they were now completely immobilized. As soon as they moved, their uncontrollable soul power would be unleashed. This was because the 4 soul beasts were all still, and as long as they could attack, they would be able to severely injure the 4 100,000-year-old soul beasts. This would create an opportunity for them to retreat after the static domain disappeared. However, they clearly didn't think that the 4 domains of the 4 100,000-year-old soul beasts would be so powerful. In particular, when stacked together, their power was extremely terrifying. Furthermore, the 2 of them were only rank 92 or 93 titled Dalu. At the same time, Hulaina and the others who were planning to retreat also changed their expressions. Even though they had only endured a small portion of the domain's power, it wasn't something that soul emperors and soul sages like them could withstand. Only the two soul Douluo were barely able to withstand it. All of the other soul masters spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their faces were deathly pale. Only Tang San and Xiao Wu were slightly better off, as De Ming and Air Ming's domains hadn't enveloped them. However, the slaughter domain and illusion domain had also enveloped them. However, without the support of these two domains, Tang San and Xiao Wu were indeed a lot better off than everyone else. End of chapter. Chapter 6:14. However, even so, the two of them couldn't escape. The reason was simple. This was because the demonic domain and the phantasmal extinction domain had a special complementary effect. Just like De Ming's slowing domain and gravity domain, they complemented each other. Once trapped in these two domains, even a titled Douluo would find it hard to move. It wasn't just a reduction in speed and an increase in gravity. Between the slaughter domain and the illusion domain, one was a soul power riot, while the other was a spiritual power attack. No matter which one it would affect the other. In the illusion domain, if one used spiritual power to resist the various spiritual attacks, it would be harder to control one's soul power. 100,000-year soul beasts are still very strong. Wang Feng snorted. These 4 100,000-year soul beasts weren't simple. In terms of strength, they were at least comparable to a rank 95 or even rank 96 transcendent Dalu. For example, the Sky Azure Bull Python or the 5-headed Star Dragon were even stronger. This is probably the difficulty of punching in, Wang Fengxin thought to himself. At this moment, both parties were in a stalemate. Obviously, both parties couldn't move. In terms of soul power consumption, the 4 100,000-year soul beasts were much less than the 7 titled Dalu. This was because once the dual stasis domain disappeared, they would all die. The 6 titled Douluo also seemed to have thought of this outcome, and they all looked very anxious. If this continued, they would all die here. The only one who could make a move was Wang Feng. Mysterious underworld flying sword. Wang Feng suppressed the soul power riot in his body with his mind. He was very calm. The domains of the 4 soul beasts were shared by the 7 of them. His situation was much better than the other 6. De Ming's slowing domain and gravity domain made it hard for Wang Feng to move. However, he had the meteoric tear, and his spiritual power was very strong. He could completely resist the 5-headed Star Dragon's illusion domain and use his spiritual power to suppress the soul power riot. However, he could use the mysterious underworld flying sword to attack. Wang Feng used his spiritual power to control the mysterious underworld flying sword. It turned into several streaks of flowing light in midair and attacked the 5-headed Star Dragon. A light flashed. Even with the sharpness of the Netherism flying sword, it was only able to leave behind a visible wound on the head, and was unable to directly cut it off. At this time, most of his spiritual power was used to resist the illusion domain and suppress the violent soul power. Only a small part of his spiritual power was used to control the flying sword, so its power was limited. However, the power was not enough, so he made up for it with the number of attacks. Coupled with the weakening effect of the 1,000 layers demon vanquishing domain, Wang Feng only needed a few slashes to cut off one of the heads of the 5-headed dragon. Suddenly, the power of the illusion absolute domain was reduced slightly, and everyone relaxed. If this continued, even a titled Douluo wouldn't be able to withstand it. Then, Wang Feng used the same trick again. Within a second, he used his sword to chop off another head. But just as Wang Feng chopped off the 3 heads, there was a rumble. The Ju Douluo and Gue Douluo both threw up another mouthful of blood, and the black mist around Gue Douluo's body instantly disappeared, revealing his original appearance. Clearly, the two of them could no longer hold on. As the 2 poles of stillness disappeared. Roar! The 400,000-year soul beasts roared. The 6 titled Douluo, as well as the many soul masters below them, threw up another mouthful of blood. The consumption of the domain was huge, especially for the 5-headed starry dragon. After losing 3 heads, its strength was greatly reduced, and it couldn't even use its domain. In comparison, the other 3 heads were only greatly depleted, but their strength was still there, and their domains were still there. It couldn't be helped. 4 domains against 2 domains, and the 6-titled Douluo were definitely at a disadvantage. No matter what, the 6-titled Douluo were more injured. Because of the 4 domains, the 6-titled Douluo were injured to different degrees. The ghost chrysanthemum Douluo was the most miserable. His soul power was almost depleted, followed by the snake spear-piercing pufferfish, and then Qianjun demon vanquishing domain. At the same time, the many soul masters, led by Hu Laina, were also injured to different degrees. Even the 2 soul Douluo, who were holding Tang San and Xiao Wu, were pale. They threw up blood continuously, and it was obvious that they had suffered internal injuries. Tang San and Xiao Wu were slightly better. Although the illusion absolute domain had disappeared, the fiendish domain was still there. The soul power in their bodies was still rampaging, and they didn't dare to move recklessly. They were all injured by the residual power of the domains. The 6-titled Douluo led by Wang Feng bore the brunt of the domain's power. Otherwise, they would have been killed. Just the fiendish domain and the illusion absolute domain were unbearable for anyone below the titled Douluo level. At this point, the 6-titled Douluo were all stunned. The strength of 400,000-year soul beasts was still too strong. Damn, they're too strong. Wang Feng couldn't help but exhale. Although he wasn't injured, the crisis he was in now was even more intense than before. The domains of the 5-headed starry dragon and the headless general were beyond Wang Feng's imagination. The main reason was that the titled Douluo on their side weren't very strong. If the snake spear and the thorny pufferfish were replaced by Hyper Douluo above rank 95, who also had powerful martial soul fusion domains, the situation would be completely different. Although Wang Feng had cultivated for half a year in the Great Star Do Forest and fought with Erming didn't use his full strength like he did now. With the addition of the 2 domains, the power of his attacks had increased exponentially. What should I do now? No, I can't expose myself now. If I do, then everything I've done before would have been for nothing. Wang Fengxin thought calmly. He could still use the other forms of the Azure Lotus. By switching between the 4 forms, his strength would reach a terrifying level that could rival a rank 97 titled Doulu. However, doing so would completely expose his identity unless he killed everyone in the Martial Soul Hall. After that, he could join forces with Erming and kill the 200,000-year soul beast. This was a way. Of course, this was only an ideal situation. It was only a possible opportunity, and whether it could actually be achieved was still unknown. Wang Feng felt that he couldn't just kill everyone in the Martial Soul Hall, and there was no way he could kill Hu Laina. If he couldn't kill them all, then everything he had done before the Martial Soul Hall would have been for nothing. Wang Feng still didn't know the deepest secrets of the Bibidon. Her opportunity to become a god? How did she inherit the godhood? This was the most important thing. Even if he killed them all, the Bibidon would definitely have doubts about him, and it would be difficult for him to maintain the identity of Pope Diff. This was not the result Wang Feng wanted. Of course, Wang Feng's spy had already perfectly destroyed 2 major operations and obtained great result. But it was still not enough. Then now, I can only try this. Wang Feng took a deep breath and glanced at Tang San and the others, as well as the many injured titled Doulu. If he wanted to block the 400,000-year soul beasts without exposing himself, I'll fight for a chance for you. Wang Feng said calmly, try to escape. As for that soul beast, it's fine if you can't protect it. Let them fend for themselves. Hearing this, several titled Douluo were shocked. Lord Popediff, 6 seriously injured titled Dalu. What could Lord Popediff do now? At this moment, the 5-headed star dragon couldn't use its domain because 3 of its heads had been cut off, but the domains of the other 3 soul beasts were still there. End of this chapter. Chapter 6:15. Now that the dual stillness domain had disappeared, the 4 soul beasts were charging at them. De Ming and Er Ming's domains were already slowing them down. Coupled with the slaughter domain, they didn't dare to use their soul power anymore. The chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo didn't even have any soul power left. How could they escape? Wang Feng's eyes flashed. If he wanted to get out of this situation, he had to get rid of the other party's domain first. Thinking of this, Wang Feng's spiritual power surged wildly. Without the impact of the illusion absolute domain, Wang Feng's powerful spiritual power calmed down the rampaging soul power in an instant. Then, he stepped on the flying sword and flew out. He turned his hand. A small flag suddenly appeared in Wang Feng's palm. Yes, this was the 6th form of the green lotus. The innate 5-element flags formed by the 5 lotus leaves of the chaotic green lotus. A few days ago, when Wang Feng's soul power reached rank 60, the chaotic green lotus transformed into the innate 5-element flags. However, because of the lack of soul power, only 1 lotus leaf had formed. Wang Feng estimated that the 2nd flag would only form at rank 62 or 63. At rank 69, the innate 5-element flags had completely transformed. The innate 5-element flags were a set of magic treasures, but each of them had an extremely powerful effect. The first thing that took shape was a green flag. There were green lotus patterns carved on the flag, and it shone with a boundless green light. It was the green lotus flag. Wang Feng only knew that in the legends of the great desolate Aeon, the azure lotus banner could calm one's heart and qi, dispel all evil, and scatter the light of the Sarira. Wang Feng had never tried its actual effect, so he had to give it a try. It would be best if he could get out of this situation. If he couldn't, then he would expose his abilities and identity and try that method. Change. Wang Feng quickly channeled his soul power, and the green flag quickly expanded. A white mist quickly spread out from the flag, and a green light shrouded the entire space like a domain. The green light spread out and the white mist rose. Everyone felt the power of the 100,000-year soul beast's domain weaken rapidly. The rampaging soul power calmed down and their bodies relaxed. Their soul power quickly recovered. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. The domain's power seemed to have disappeared temporarily. Is this a martial soul? Twin martial souls? The 6-titled Douluo drew a cold breath as they watched on in disbelief. Pope Diff in white actually had twin martial souls? It was also at this moment. Now, Tang San also felt the rampaging soul power in his body. It instantly calmed down, and he felt incomparably comfortable. Although he was shocked, he didn't fall into a daze. Instead, he immediately reacted. He and Xiao Wu were the least injured compared to the soul masters who had surrounded them, and they were able to preserve most of their strength. His blue-silver grass once again bound the others, and he unsheathed the 8 spider spears on his back, severing the chains on his body. The blue-silver emperor's right leg trembled, and he took off into the air with Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai and the others in tow. It had to be said that Tang San's timing was perfect. At this moment, the people of the Martial Spirit Palace were astonished. Due to the 4 great domains, they had all suffered different degrees of injuries. They didn't pay attention to the 2 of them at all because they were all injured. Naturally, they thought that the 2 of them were also severely injured, and there was no chance for them to escape. However, in reality, Tang San and Xiao Wu were only affected by 2 domains. In addition, Tang San's blue-silver domain resisted, and he had several types of soul bones. The injuries he suffered were much lower than they had imagined. By the time they reacted, they could only watch as Tang San and Xiao Wu flew away. They wanted to chase after them, but the 6-titled Douluo quickly landed and said, "There's no need to chase after them. Let's retreat first. Lord Popediff can't hold on for long." If we waste time chasing after them, I'm afraid it will be even more dangerous later. The people of the martial spirit palace nodded. If we leave, what about Lord Popediff? Hulaina's expression changed. No, I'm not leaving. Under such circumstances, although they could leave, Popediff could use his second martial soul to forcefully disperse the domain's power. However, he couldn't hold on for long. Wouldn't he be attacked by the 400,000-year soul beasts then? He would definitely die. However, just as Hulaina finished speaking, the 1,000 Douluo took a step forward and knocked Hulaina unconscious with a palm strike. Although the 1,000 Douluo was severely injured, he still had some strength left. Naturally, Hulaina couldn't resist him. Evil Moon, carry your sister and retreat. The 1,000 Douluo said, if we don't leave now, we will all die. We will also be wasting Lord Popediff's efforts. If we leave, perhaps Lord Popediff will have another chance to escape. Evil Moon was stunned. He gritted his teeth and took Hulaina. He glanced at Popediff, who was in the center of the green light in midair, and quickly retreated. The 6 titled Douluo supported each other and led the people of the martial spirit palace to retreat quickly. In midair, Wang Fengxin heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, this flag is indeed powerful. Although it's not a domain, it has the strength of a domain. It can actually disperse the domain of these soul beasts temporarily and calm everyone's mind and soul power. Then, I should also retreat. Tang San, Xiao Wu, and the others are fine. I didn't expose my identity. The people of the martial spirit palace have also retreated. After they return, Bibidan's trust in me should be at its peak. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. A perfect ending. However, at this moment, seeing the 2 groups of people retreat, the 5-headed star dragon was extremely unwilling. It was temporarily deterred by the green lotus flag and didn't attack Wang Feng. Instead, it suddenly looked in the direction where Tang San and Xiao Wu had left. Tang San was carrying Xiao Wu and dragging 4 people. His flying speed wasn't very fast. As the saying goes, pick the soft persimmon. This beast was obviously very smart. Roar. The remaining 2 heads of the 5-headed star dragon roared and directly shot an intense white light beam in the direction of Tang San. The other head shot a pitch-black light beam in the direction of the people of the martial spirit palace. F*CK, I cut off 3 of this beast's heads. Its reaction is too fast. Wang Fengxin was shocked. He activated the green lotus flag and removed the domain. He wasn't afraid of this attack. After all, his physical fitness was strong, but he couldn't hold on for long. He could defend himself, but he couldn't care about others. At the same time, the second Ming saw this scene. He roared at the 5-headed star dragon and directly rushed to kill it. With a few stomps, he crushed the other 2 heads of the 5-headed stellar dragon. Originally, he wanted to kill the 5-headed stellar dragon. He wanted to kill the 5-headed star dragon, but the headless divine beast had already rushed in the direction of Xiao Wu. Seeing this, the Deming Air Ming quivered and rushed over without caring about anything else. Obviously, this divine beast intended to attack Xiao Wu and the others to lure the second Ming away. These 2 evil and powerful soul beasts were obviously in a cooperative relationship, which could be seen from the domain. This is bad. Wang Feng's soul power was almost exhausted at this time. The green lotus flag's ability was very strong, but it could remove the 3 domains of the 100,000-year soul beast. Although it could calm them down and intimidate them, it also consumed a lot of soul power. Wang Feng could only see that the 2 attacks of the 5-headed star dragon were directly hit. But there were still titled Douluo from the martial spirit palace who could resist it. But it was difficult for Xiao Wu to resist. He was afraid that the white light beam would cause serious damage to them. Is it really impossible to change the situation? Wang Feng was speechless. He changed the situation of the 2 sections. At this time, he also used the green lotus flag and completely changed the situation. Wang Feng almost achieved his goal, but in the end, he still couldn't change the situation. P.S. Cough cough, there are a few more chapters later. End of this chapter. Chapter 6:16. Wang Feng retracted his green lotus flag. No one was a prophet. Nothing was absolute, and no mechanism could predict everything. Wang Feng had many choices when he saw the two groups of people retreating. He could not defeat the 200,000-year soul beast. Wang Feng could choose to use his soul-devouring blood wings to teleport away. No one would see him anyway. The green lotus flag's ability allowed Wang Feng to do so. This item was equivalent to having an additional domain. Enemies' domains would not be effective within its range. Furthermore, it could calm one's mind and instill fear into many evil soul beasts. It was a perfect way to break out of this situation. However, Wang Feng did not expect the five-headed star dragon to attack Tang San and the martial spirit hall instead of attacking him. This beast was very cunning. The martial spirit hall had the 1,000-kilogram demon vanquishing Douluo to block it, so they would not be hurt too much. However, Tang San was in trouble. In addition, the headless General Divine Beast had also rushed over, attracting the Great Ming Dynasty's Second Ming Dynasty. Who knew what would happen? Wang Feng sat on his flying sword and looked down at the half-dead five-headed star dragon. His eyes shone brightly. Under normal circumstances, it was not impossible for him to kill a 100,000-year soul beast. If he was in his best state and used the Pangu axe, he could still kill it. If there were 200,000-year soul beasts, Wang Feng would not be able to do anything. Earlier, the two Ming brothers were furious and destroyed the last two heads of the five-headed star dragon. To Wang Feng, this was the best sixth soul ring. No, I have to go and take a look. Wang Feng looked at the five-headed star dragon. Something doesn't feel right. Could Bibidon have made some arrangements? I released the news that Wang Feng is still alive. When Bibidong found out about this, would he have other preparations that he didn't tell us about? Wang Feng was shocked when he thought of this. That's not right. With Bibidon's intelligence, they should have sent 6 titled Douluo to hunt Xiao Wu if they knew that Wang Feng was still alive. If I were Bibidon, Wang Feng suddenly thought, I know that Wang Feng is still alive, but I don't know where he is. I will definitely send out another group of people to hunt Xiao Wu in case Wang Feng appears. Thinking of this, Wang Feng suddenly broke out in cold sweat. At the same time, Pontiff's palace. Bibidon stood on the windowsill in the hall and looked at the scene in the distance. Wang Feng is still alive. Is His Holiness at ease? The golden alligator Douluo slowly stood beside her. As the second consecrator, the golden alligator Douluo's abilities were one of the best in the martial soul hall. Only Bibidon and the 1,000 Dao stream could suppress him. Of course not. Bibidon said plainly, he didn't show himself, and only gave Ningfengji a message. It's clear that he's rushing to the Great Star Do Forest. Wang Feng is too smart. He must have guessed our martial spirit palace's thoughts. Since he attacked the two sects, he will definitely attack that soul beast. He didn't show himself. It's clear that he wants to rush to the Great Star Do Forest as a precaution when our soul hunt plan is ruined. If that's the case, with his abilities, it's very likely that he'll ruin our plan. The soul hunt plan has been ruined by him. We can't let it happen this time. Bibidon's voice was very cold, and her eyes flashed brightly. The golden alligator Douluo laughed and said, Does this mean that His Holiness has arranged for someone else? Why don't you tell them? There's no need. Bibidon said, If I tell them, it'll be easy for their opponents to sense it. If Popediff and the others know that I have arranged for someone else, they won't use their full strength in battle or other special situations. It'll be easy for them to sense that something's wrong. Wang Feng is very smart. I can't let him sense anything. That's why I didn't mention it. The golden alligator Douluo nodded slightly. You're still as scheming as ever. Which elder did you arrange for this person to be? Bibidon didn't say anything. She only looked into the distance. Wang Feng was so shocked that he broke out in a cold sweat. After that, he directly killed this 5-headed starry dragon. This 5-headed starry dragon's head was all gone, and it was on the verge of death. Although it was 100,000-year soul beast, it wasn't so easy to kill. However, there was no one around now. Wang Feng directly used the Black Lotus soul power to replenish it. After that, he used the god-slaying spear and killed this 5-headed starry dragon with a few swings. He still had to deal the finishing blow to prevent any unforeseen circumstances. This 100,000-year soul beast's self-healing ability was very strong. Wang Feng suspected that if he left directly later, it might recover. A scarlet soul ring suddenly rose, but Wang Feng wasn't in a hurry to absorb it. Instead, he quickly rushed in the direction of Tang San. This was because it would take too long to absorb it. Furthermore, 100,000-year soul ring would last for a long time. Wang Feng wasn't in a hurry to absorb it, and he wasn't afraid of others absorbing it. The most important thing now was to check on Tang San's situation. If Bibidon really sent someone else to observe in the dark just now, then this person must have been waiting. Now, this person must be heading in the direction of Tang San and Xiao Wu. On the other side, how powerful was the furious attack of the 100,000-year soul beast, the 5-headed starry dragon. The blazing white light beam that it spat out had an extremely strong lock-on effect. It was even more terrifying than the intercontinental missiles in Wang Feng's previous life. It directly locked onto Tang San's direction and suddenly blasted out. If he was a titled Douluo, he might be able to resist this attack, but he might be seriously injured. But Tang San wasn't. Almost at the moment when the blazing light beam locked onto him, Tang San's heart surged with a strong sense of death. Subconsciously, Tang San threw Dai Mubai and the others, who were tied up by the blue-silver grass, out and landed on the ground. Then, he swung his palm and threw Xiao Wu out too. Obviously, he wanted to take the hit directly. "Brother, what are you doing?" However, Xiao Wu, who was just thrown away, screamed suddenly. The soul ring on her body flickered, and she directly teleported in front of Tang San. Golden body! Without any hesitation, Xiao Wu activated this invincible soul skill. Startled, Tang San immediately urged the blue-silver grass in his hand to create countless blue-silver cage around him, making him look like a big dumpling. The 8 spider spears on his back instantly appeared and surrounded the two of them. This was the best he could do. Rumble! In the next moment, the blazing white light beam rushed over the 3 of them like a flood. Roar! Roar! In the distance, De Ming and Air Ming, who seemed to have sensed the attack, roared. The blazing white light contained extremely terrifying power. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through Tang San's blue-silver cage and shattered the 8 spider spears. End of chapter. Chapter 6:17. The golden light all over Xiao Wu's body dimmed under the impact of the white beam of light. Her skin even began to melt and glow red. She was on the verge of death. Tang San was in a better condition because Xiao Wu was in front of him. If this goes on, Xiao Wu will die. No. A thought flashed through Tang San's mind. He hugged Xiao Wu and the two of them instantly switched positions to withstand this force. Almost in an instant, Tang San felt an energy that was enough to tear his entire body apart, battering his body. Boom! The blazing light washed over them. In just a few seconds, the two of them fell to the ground like meteors. The two of them landed on the ground. At this time, everyone on the ground slowly woke up. In the distance, Tang San and Xiao Wu fell to the ground. Brother! Xiao Wu was injured all over. Looking at Tang San, her eyes were bloodshot. Although she was injured all over, her injuries were not fatal. Because at the last moment, Xiao Wu felt a copious amount of energy gushing out from the yearning heartbroken grass in her arms, which eased her injuries a lot. This was the king of flowers and an immortal herb, so it naturally had extraordinary abilities. But it was difficult for Tang San. "Xiao Wu, it's good that you're okay," Tang San said intermittently. His back was almost evaporated by the beam of light, and even his bones could be seen clearly. If Xiao Wu had not resisted a little in advance, he would have died in an instant. "No, brother, don't. I don't want you to die," Xiao Wu cried. At this time, Dai Mubai and the others walked over and looked at this scene in horror. However, the four of them felt extremely uncomfortable all over. Although the four of them had fainted, they still endured the power of the domain just now, so their current situation was not very good. But because they had fainted, they didn't know what happened next. They didn't even see the four 100,000-year-soul beasts. "What's going on?" Oscar quickly made several roasted sausages and gave them to Tang San. But at this time, Tang San didn't even have the strength to eat. Xiao Wu didn't say anything and just sobbed. It was at this moment that the headless divine beast in the distance stomped on the ground, producing a loud thud as it chased after them. That soul beast? Could it be the headless general divine beast? Ma Hongjun murmured, "What happened to you just now? It seemed to be that white-clothed Popediff, pretending to be Wang Feng? Then he knocked us all out? Let's escape from here first." Oscar made the mushroom intestines and gave them to everyone. He said in a deep voice, "A 100,000-year soul beast like this isn't something we can fight against." He was still calm. No matter what had just happened, he had to first deal with the delicate situation he was in. "Run in different directions, don't stick together," Oscar instructed before turning to look at Xiao Wu. "Xiao Wu, Xiao San, you guys should leave this place first," Xiao Wu softly muttered. "I can't leave. Its target is me. As long as you run away, they won't hurt you." Hearing this, everyone fell silent. "Impossible," Zhu Zhuqing said in a low voice. "That's right, Xiao Wu. Who do you think we are?" Dai Mubai snorted coldly. "Although we don't know what happened, how can we abandon you and leave now?" Ma Hongjun and Oscar nodded solemnly. At this moment, De Ming and De Ming rushed towards the headless divine beast from behind. The three soul beasts suddenly started fighting. Not far away, the earth-shattering aftermath of the battle was like a hurricane, blowing towards them. "Two more." Ma Hongjun was dumbfounded. He patted his chest immediately. "Fortunately, they seem to have a grudge. This is good. With them fighting, we are temporarily safe." "Xiao Wu, what happened just now?" Xiao Wu cried and shook her head. Suddenly, a red light appeared on her body. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded in front of them. "Little fellow, if you dare to sacrifice yourself, I will kill all of you." After saying this, everyone's hair stood on end. They all looked into the distance. A black-robed elder appeared in the distance. 9 soul rings lit up on his body. It was a titled Douluo. Xiao Wu was stunned. Looking at the black-robed elder who suddenly appeared, her heart turned cold. This elder was from the martial spirit hall. Moreover, he was not one of the 6 soul beasts just now. "Follow me. If you dare to sacrifice yourself to save this brat, I will kill all of you. Not only will this brat not live, but you will also have to pay with the lives of your companions." The black-robed elder's voice made Xiao Wu's heart sink to the bottom. The other party appeared at the perfect time. It was as if he had been waiting. If De Ming hadn't stood up with the headless divine beast just now, he would have appeared. One of the great Ming dynasties, Ming dynasty, would immediately rush over. But now that Air Ming and the divine beast general were engaged in battle, it was too late for them to get away. Most importantly, the other party could completely see through her thoughts. She really wanted to sacrifice herself to save Tang San because this was the only way to save Tang San's life. There was no other way. But the other party actually appeared at this time and didn't even let her sacrifice herself. "Who are you?" Ma Hongjun instantly possessed his martial soul and looked coldly at the black-robed elder. "Humph! The black-robed elder only snorted softly. The enormous aura and pressure instantly suppressed the four of them until they could not move. The four of them felt a chill in their hearts. This was probably not the strength of an ordinary titled Doulu. The black-robed elder was a little surprised. It seems that you Shrek's 7 monsters are a little interesting. Under my pressure, you can still stand. The cultivation of a soul emperor is extraordinary. However, what's the use of this? Even Xiao Wu felt an oppressive pressure. At this time, a phantom suddenly appeared on the black-robed elder. This phantom was like a ghost, holding a sickle in its hand, and it was extremely strange. What kind of martial soul is this? Everyone was shocked. They only felt that the other party's martial soul possessed his body, and the pressure increased again. The air seemed to be locked, and the four of them couldn't bear this pressure at all. They couldn't stand straight and spat out a mouthful of blood. Now I'll give you one last chance. The black-robed elder looked at the 2 great Ming beasts in the distance and frowned. Come with me, or you will all die. Under the joint attack of the 2 great Ming beasts, the divine beast was defeated very quickly. However, because it was attacking with its life, it was worried about Xiao Wu at this moment. It also suffered several attacks from the divine beast, and the number of wounds on its body increased. Xiao Wu was silent for a moment. She looked at the dying Tang San and then at Dai Mu Bai and the other 3. There was no choice at all. Either they died together, or they could save the 4 of them. But there was no possibility of saving third brother. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing let out a muffled groan as an intense ray of light suddenly erupted from her heart. Soon after, she forcefully withstood the black-robed old man's pressure and stood up. End of chapter. Chapter 6:18. All of a sudden, everyone was stunned. Even the black-robed old man was shocked. With the pressure of his soul force, there was no way this soul emperor would be able to block it. Even a soul Douluo could not resist it. This little girl was actually able to withstand it and even stand up. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing did not know that she had activated part of the meteoric tear's ability in her extreme state. Waves of warmth flowed through her body. In fact, Zhu Zhuqing had never encountered such a situation before over the past 5 years. Although she had fought, how could she face the soul power of a titled Douluo? It was just like how Wang Feng used the soul power of a soul Douluo and a titled Douluo to forcefully activate the meteoric tear to increase his soul power rank or his physical quality. However, Wang Feng was active while Zhu Zhuqing was passive. This was the only time in 5 years. Something is strange. The black-robed elder sneered. His figure flashed and attacked Zhu Zhuqing. His speed was so fast that even Zhu Zhuqing could not react in time. However, at this moment, a black light barrier suddenly appeared outside the group of people. Bang! Violent vibrations suddenly came from the black light barrier. The black-robed elder retreated quickly and looked at the black light barrier in shock. Then, he looked into the distance and his pupils shrank. Wang Feng, you are still alive? After he finished speaking, the few of them were instantly shocked. After 5 years, they saw this black light barrier again. Naturally, they would not forget it. Zhu Zhuqing turned around abruptly and saw a figure standing in midair in the distance. 2 blood-red wings floated behind his back. Not only that, there were 6 pairs of black wings with divine light. Each pair of wings exuded an extremely evil energy wave. An ancient spear with flashing blood-red patterns stood quietly beside this figure. His entire body exuded an extremely bloody and ferocious aura. Black robe, white mask. 9-on-1. The peerless figure who shone like a shooting star in the Pope's palace appeared in front of everyone again. No one could imitate any of his characteristics. It's Wang Feng. Dai Mubai's mouth was agape. This can't be an act, right? He's actually still alive. Because he knew that the previous Wang Feng was Pope Diff in disguise, he couldn't help but say such words. Like I said, How could the captain's martial spirit be useless? Ma Hongjun said angrily. That Popediff in white is too cunning. He actually used those excuses to deceive us. As soon as the person in front of them appeared, they didn't have any doubts. Because in this world, only Wang Feng could do what the other party was doing now. He didn't even need to say a single word. Zhu Zhuqing covered her mouth and stared at the figure in a daze. An indescribable wave of emotions rose in her heart. It seems like His Holiness was right. You really did come to the great Star Do forest. The black-robed old man sneered. Judging from this aura, it seems like you've become much stronger? Let me see how much stronger you have become. Spectre True Body. The old man's seventh soul ring lit up. He turned into a terrifying spectre more than 10 meters tall, holding a pitch-black scythe in his hand. His entire body exuded an aura of death. His soul power undulations were like a tide, spreading in all directions. Spectre Martial Spirit. It was a very powerful martial spirit. Furthermore, his soul power undulations were very strong. Peak rank 96. Wang Feng had never seen this titled Douluo in the martial spirit hall. In other words, this person might have been secretly nurtured by Bibidon, or by some other organization. Wang Feng knew about the other great consecrators in the Elder Hall. Other than the third consecrator, there were 4 or 5 consecrators, all of whom were close to rank 97. Bibidon indeed has a team. They're secretly using him as a trump card. Wang Fengxin muttered to himself. This Spectre Douluo was extraordinarily powerful. How could someone who had been in the martial spirit hall for decades not reveal his hidden cards? Just like Wang Feng, he had used 2 years to nurture 4 underlings. Until now, no one knew. How could Bibidon only have an exposed organization? Rank 96, Wang Feng sneered. He was now using his deified soul skill, soul-devouring blood wings, and dark angel martial spirit. This increase was very terrifying. At rank 60, Wang Feng's deified soul skill had reached a 6-fold increase in all attribute. Soul-devouring blood wings had reached a 3-fold increase in all attributes and a 4-fold increase in attack. The dark angel martial spirit was even stronger. His current dark angel martial spirit had been cultivated and awakened the power of the blood pattern. Especially the black wings at the back, they were not just shadows. They were real. It brought about an extremely terrifying increase in speed. At the same time, Wang Feng secretly activated the power of the blood pattern. As he had activated it before he came, it was impossible to detect. Wang Feng only needed to not use the cauldron of heaven and earth, the 5-element flags, spirit seal, ice reflection, original sin's domain, and other abilities that had been exposed in front of everyone. But just the increase in power of the blood pattern was enough to allow Wang Feng to reach a terrifying level. Right now, he was already comparable to a rank 97 titled Douluo in terms of raw power. After activating the power of the blood pattern, Wang Feng already had a 10-fold increase. In total, Wang Feng's current state, even if he didn't obtain his 6th soul ring, had a 20-fold increase in all attribute. In addition to his physical attributes, he was many times stronger than when he was in the Pope's palace. At rank 60, in terms of increase in strength, he had reached the limit. Furthermore, Wang Feng wasn't afraid of being affected by the 1,000 rays flu even if he used the Dark Angel martial spirit. This was because news of him being alive had already spread. The light projection behind Wang Feng moved slightly. Boom! A terrifying air current exploded where he was. It was as fast as teleportation, and there were explosions in the air. The spectral Douluo's martial soul true body was directly penetrated. It was unimaginably fast. But at this moment, the spectral Douluo's strength was displayed. His martial soul was naturally immune to all physical attack. At the same time, he was also very immune to energy attacks. Wang Feng's soul-killing spear pierced through his body, but it only brought up streaks of black fog. It was as if it didn't exist. You can't attack me. In this world, no weapon can attack me. The black-robed elder roared and laughed furiously. Even the clear sky hammer can't hurt me. Soul skill, spectral life's bond, damage transfer. The huge spectral true body's pitch-black soul rings lit up, and several streaks of black light extended from his body. They extended to Dai Mubai and the rest. Dai Mubai and the others shuddered. Somehow they sensed something else. Ha ha ha, if you attack me again now. The black-robed elder laughed coldly. They'll be the ones injured. Wang Feng, do you dare to attack me now? End of chapter. Chapter 619. Spectral Connection. This was an extremely powerful soul skill. It could establish a connection between the two of them. As the user of the soul skill, all the attacks he received would be borne by the user of the soul skill. This special connection seemed to establish a special karmic connection between the two of them. It was extremely strange. Dai Mubai and the rest were stunned. Isn't this soul skill a little too despicable? No wonder this black-robed elder didn't attack them. He wanted to use this soul skill to threaten Wang Feng indirectly. Right now, Wang Feng didn't dare to attack at all. He could only endure the spectral Douluo's attacks. Wang Fengxin was stunned. Although this spectral Douluo was only rank 96, he wasn't any weaker than a rank 97 soul master. His soul skill was indeed a little strong. It was much stronger than those martial spirits like Ghastly Shadow and Shadow. Even the ghost Douluo was a little brother in front of this spectral Douluo. Soul skill, spectral soul search. At this moment, the huge spectral Douluo's true body suddenly raised a huge sickle and attacked Wang Feng. The aura of death surged towards him. Wang Feng furrowed his brow. This soul skill's aura lock was extraordinarily strong. The black wings behind his back flapped slightly, and he instantly disappeared. With his current speed, the spectral Douluo's attack couldn't possibly hit him. However, a light flashed, and the huge black sickle seemed to be able to pierce through space. It landed directly where Wang Feng was dodging. Wang Fengxin was astonished. Once this soul skill locked onto someone, it would forcefully hit him? You can't escape. The spectral Douluo laughed coldly. This is a fatal move. It can pierce through space and steal a soul master's spirit. As long as his spirit is weaker than mine, he will be killed immediately. I can only use this move once a month. It's a sure kill move. After hearing this, everyone sucked in a cold breath. This spectral Douluo was ridiculously strong. Given how powerful the Phantom Douluo was, did that mean that he could even kill a rank 97 titled Douluo? This was because his spirit was weaker than his, and not his soul power. Bibidon sent him. He's indeed a killing machine. Wang Feng could not help but think. Even though he had expected Bibidon to send someone over secretly, he didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. She seemed to only be at rank 96, but her abilities were already very strong, just from these two soul skills alone. Furthermore, this was clearly his opponent's strongest move. It could only be used once a month. It was a sure kill move. What a pity! Wang Feng shook his head. If I hadn't cultivated in the former esoteric sutra and hadn't used the red lotus to temper my body and soul, I would have definitely died from this move. Unfortunately, his soul had been tempered by the red lotus karmic fire, and his soul was extremely powerful and pure. If that was all, this move might not be able to kill Wang Feng, but it could still inflict heavy damage to his soul. Unfortunately, Wang Feng had also cultivated the front secret character. His spiritual energy was extremely powerful, and it had already condensed into a substance, forming a water droplet. His soul was naturally more powerful. This Phantom Douluo's soul couldn't possibly be stronger than Wang Feng's. This was indeed the case. The huge black sickle seemed to be formless as it slashed across Wang Feng's body, but it did not cause any changes to his body. However, Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. Haha, your soul has already been hooked. How are you fine? The phantom Douluo's horrified voice suddenly sounded. Wang Feng, who had recovered from his shock, attacked the phantom Douluo again. Evidently, he was completely fine. That's impossible. How can your soul be stronger than mine? The phantom Douluo was astonished, and his heart sank. However, you dare to attack me? Aren't you afraid that they'll die? The phantom Douluo did not move as he watched Wang Feng attack him. He thought to himself, how can Wang Feng's soul be stronger than mine? No. Even if his soul is stronger than mine, he can't be completely unharmed. Unless his soul and spiritual energy are far stronger than mine. The phantom Douluo was stunned, and a chill ran down his spine. This guy is too strong. It seems like I can't fight him for too long. If I can't beat him, I can only retreat and conserve my strength. The phantom Douluo thought to himself. He was not without flaws. In fact, he had many flaws. His soul skills were very restrictive. Furthermore, his martial soul true body consumed a lot of soul power and spiritual power, far more than a Douluo of the same rank. In other words, he could not fight for too long. Once his martial soul true body disappeared, he would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Fortunately, he can't hurt me now. I'll retreat immediately. The phantom Douluo felt a sense of danger. At this moment, the god-slaying spear in Wang Feng's hand suddenly disappeared. His soul-devouring blood wings also disappeared. Countless streaks of black light formed a pitch-black sword in his hand, while the red lotus of karmic fire appeared in his other hand. Streaks of red lotus karmic fire were attached to the pitch-black sword. Instantly, this pitch-black sword seemed to have become a sword of karmic fire. Slash! Wang Feng watched as the streaks of black light extended from his phantom Douluo to Dai Mubai. With the support of the red lotus karmic fire, these streaks of black light were instantly slashed apart. Seeing this, the phantom Douluo's pitch-black eyes flashed with a look of astonishment. How is this possible? This was his 8th soul skill. It was said to be an extremely powerful life-saving move. How could it be so easily slashed apart by his opponent? He had never seen a soul skill like Phantom Douluo who could break it. In fact, this soul skill was indeed something. It could be considered a karmic soul skill, but it was very powerful. It connected 2 lives together. However, the red lotus karmic fire could burn all kinds of karmic power. According to Wang Feng's judgment, it should be able to counter this soul skill. This was why he tried to use this attack. Reality proved that Wang Feng's judgment was correct. The Phantom Douluo was immune to most damage, but he was not immune to the red lotus karmic fire. Right now, Wang Feng's amplification was far greater than when he was in the Pontiff's palace. Even without his soul-devouring blood wings, he could still deal with the Phantom Douluo. He was even stronger than the Phantom Douluo. This was why he transformed into his red lotus karmic fire. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Wang Feng used his mysterious underworld spike to slash the Phantom Douluo with his red lotus karmic fire. Suddenly, the Phantom Douluo's Phantom Douluo started to burn. The red lotus karmic fire seemed to ignite with just a touch. Furthermore, Wang Feng's sword was covered with quite a lot of karmic fire. Almost instantly, it engulfed the Phantom Douluo. The martial soul hall was not very clear about the red lotus karmic fire's abilities. Even in the Pontiff's palace, Wang Feng had not used it before. Previously, when he was attacked on the way to Martial Soul City, Wang Feng had used the mysterious underworld spike to envelop the karmic fire and stabbed 2 soul Douluo. As a result, the 2 soul Douluo's spirits were continuously burned by the red lotus karmic fire. That was probably the only time he had used it. What is this thing? The Phantom Douluo roared furiously. However, his voice became softer and softer. Finally, it disappeared. Finally, his Phantom Douluo's Phantom Douluo disappeared. He turned back into the black-robed elder. A streak of black light surfaced from the black-robed elder's body and disappeared into the distance. Wang Feng was slightly taken aback. This phantom Douluo is quite something, huh? This soul skill seems to be an avatar. Or an avatar. This fellow's soul must be strange. He's using such a method to escape? However, even if he escapes, he has no cultivation. Author's note: 9 chapters. End of chapter. Chapter 620. The mysterious spectre Douluo's final blacklight was a special doppelganger soul skill. Before dying, she used her doppelganger to carry a wisp of the main body's soul. Of course, she sacrificed all her soul power and martial soul. Even if she barely survived, she wouldn't live for long. However, it was Wang Feng's first time seeing such a martial soul and soul skill. I can only say that there are all kinds of strange martial souls in the Douluo world. Wang Feng shook his head. This spectre Douluo was the most special one Wang Feng had ever encountered, because she was the first one Wang Feng had encountered that involved a spiritual attack. Perhaps the spectral Douluo wasn't very powerful, perhaps even inferior to a rank 95 titled Douluo, but her soul skills were extremely powerful, and she was able to kill many enemies who were more powerful than her. That's right, she killed, not defeated. Wang Feng felt that not many titled Douluo could withstand her spectre soul search. As long as one's soul power was lower than the opponent's, it was possible to die directly. If one's soul power was higher, even if it wasn't by much, they would probably be injured. There weren't many who had a soul power like his that had been strengthened through special tempering. Bibidon, how many more tricks are you hiding? Wang Fengxin thought. This woman was very different from the Bibidon in Wang Feng's memory of the original work. Although Wang Feng didn't finish reading the original work and didn't know the plot later. But no matter what, with the original work's fame, Wang Feng knew a little about the final ending. After all, the protagonist would definitely defeat the villain in the end. However, Wang Feng felt that there had been an earth-shaking change. The most obvious thing was that Wang Feng felt that Shrek's 7 monsters had become stronger than in the original work, but their opponents hadn't become weaker either. Especially the villain, this Bibidon's strength and intelligence were much more powerful than Wang Feng had imagined. It was as if there was a kind of power that was balancing. Could it be the power of the heaven's way of the Douluo world? Wang Fengxin thought. But the Douluo world could only be considered a small world. There shouldn't be any heaven's way, right? Experts at the level of God wouldn't interfere in the battles of human experts. Setting up the land of inheritance in this world was already the limit. Maybe it's karma. Wang Feng shook his head. Karma was an extremely mystical power. Thinking of this, Wang Feng's mind suddenly became clear. This phantom Douluo was sent by the Bibidon. Why did Bibidon send the phantom Douluo? It was because he had revealed the news that Wang Feng was still alive that Bibidon had become even more vigilant. Furthermore, he only revealed the news that Wang Feng was still alive because he wanted to stop the soul-hunting mission. Thinking of this, Wang Fengxin couldn't help but sigh. Fortunately, he felt something was wrong and reacted quickly. Otherwise, Wang Feng turned around and looked at the people who were still in a daze. He walked over slowly without saying a word. The golden lotus in his hand spun and sprinkled on Tang San's body. Tang San's eyes became a little more lively. His aura, which was about to disappear, slowed down. Wang Feng frowned slightly. The golden lotus's powerful healing ability could only temporarily protect Tang San's heart meridians and soul. It was impossible to save him. With Tang San's strength, he wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of a 100,000-year soul beast. If Xiao Wu hadn't used the golden body to block it for a while, Tang San would have been dead. Wang Feng could use the golden lotus to keep Tang San alive, but it was unrealistic to let him fully recover. Unless he was in the 80s or 90s, the golden lotus's ability could become stronger. The golden lotus couldn't directly revive a person in a perfect state, unless Tang San was a soul beast whose life force was far lower than his. Like the little green bird, it was just an ordinary bird beast at first. Wang Feng could use the golden lotus to restore the dying little green bird to its original state, because the little green bird was an extremely weak life form at that time. But Tang San was different. He was a soul master, a rank 60 soul master with twin martial souls and all kinds of powerful abilities. His life force was not comparable to an ordinary soul master. The golden lotus couldn't revive Ye and Xing Xing, so it was naturally impossible for it to restore Tang San to his original state. It was already very heaven-defying to be able to keep him alive. Xiao San won't die for the time being. Wang Feng's golden lotus turned slightly and retracted it. He muttered, but it may take a long time to fully recover. I can save him, Xiao Wu said in a low voice. Among us soul beasts, there's a sacrificial skill that allows us to sacrifice our life and soul rings without any side effects for humans to absorb. With such an enormous life force, third brother can completely recover. Hearing this, Wang Feng was startled. He naturally knew about the sacrificial skill. If Tang San wanted to fully recover, he needed an extremely huge amount of life force to rely on. 100,000-year soul ring was an option, but it was impossible for Tang San to absorb 100,000-year soul ring. Even if Tang San was in a perfect state, it was impossible for him to absorb 100,000-year soul ring. At most, 50 to 60,000 years was the limit. He wasn't himself, Wang Feng naturally knew that. But if it was Xiao Wu's sacrificial skill, the 100,000-year soul ring would not have any burden and could be slowly absorbed by Tang San. The huge amount of life force could also restore Tang San. Wang Feng looked at the divine beast general in the distance. This was also a 100,000-year soul beast, and an extremely powerful one. But to make such a ferocious and ruthless soul beast sacrifice? Just wash up and sleep. Now, even De Ming and De Ming were unable to defeat this divine beast general. One could imagine how powerful it was. Wang Feng didn't know what to say for a moment. From the perspective of a prophet, Xiao Wu, as the female lead in the original work, would definitely not die even if she sacrificed. She would definitely be resurrected. Otherwise, the original work would definitely have a different situation. This was also Tang San's opportunity to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring. In addition, it was impossible for the current Tang San to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring. Wang Feng's 100,000-year soul ring was a 20,000-year soul ring given by the system. Adding it to the 90,000-year ice dragon whale soul ring, Wang Feng could bear that kind of power. Of course, this was from the perspective of a prophet. Wang Feng did not oppose Xiao Wu's sacrifice, because Xiao Wu could not die at all. At most, she would be like Ye. Moreover, different from Ye Star. Xiao Wu also had an immortal grade herb, yearning heartbroken red, which could protect her original body. However, Wang Feng was a little hesitant and wanted to persuade her. Brother Feng, you don't have to persuade me. Xiao Wu wiped away her tears. In the past 5 years, I've asked De Ming and Ming. If I make a sacrifice, I can be resurrected. I still have the yearning heartbroken red. It has always been by my side. I know its effects, so I might not really die. I can't let Brother Feng stay by Xiao San's side and use the golden lotus to protect his life. End of this chapter. Chapter 621. Indeed, if Wang Feng wanted Tang San to live, he had to stay by Tang San's side and keep him alive. Wang Feng had to wait for his soul power to increase before he could fully recover Tang San. However, Wang Feng was speechless. Wang Feng swallowed hard. You've even thought about this? When I was in the pontiff's palace, I thought about it, Xiao Wu whispered. If I'm really captured by humans one day, what should I do? If third brother is in danger one day, what should I do? I've thought about it for the past 5 years. I know that if I'm really in such a situation, I won't let third brother die even if I have to sacrifice myself. There was a hint of rationality in Xiao Wu's voice. Wang Feng didn't expect the lively and carefree Xiao Wu to be able to say something like this. They weren't the only ones who had changed over the past 5 years. Xiao Wu had changed as well. So, Brother Feng, let me sacrifice myself. Xiao Wu gently caressed Tang San's cheek. Wang Feng thought about it and didn't try to dissuade her. He actually had another way, and that was to use the meteoric tear. Little Three wouldn't die if he fused with the meteoric tear. However, Wang Feng felt that he wasn't that magnanimous. It was just like how Little Three wouldn't tell anyone about the Xiantian treasure record. Zhu Zhuqing was different. Wang Feng didn't have a choice when it came to Zhu Zhuqing. Furthermore, Wang Feng couldn't take the meteoric tear out of Zhu Zhuqing's body for the time being. It was useless even if he took it out and fused with it. There could be other accidents. Wang Feng didn't want to take it out until he was sure that nothing would happen to Zhu Zhuqing. More importantly, there might be a backlash after the fusion. Fusing with the meteoric tear into a true life origin was too advanced. Wang Feng couldn't understand it now, and he couldn't use it either. He would also lose many of the meteoric tear's original effect. Thinking of this, Wang Feng nodded his head and led the others further away. The energy undulations from a sacrifice were very strong. "Captain, what's a sacrifice?" Ma Hongjun couldn't help but ask. "Also, what's going on? Who sent that titled Douluo earlier?" They were still in a state of confusion. Sacrifice is the most domineering ability of soul beasts. It's roughly equivalent to sacrificing one's life and soul. Wang Feng explained simply. Soul masters can easily absorb 100,000-year soul ring when sacrificed by a soul beast. Furthermore, the soul ring will be of great help to the soul master as their rank increases. Everyone suddenly understood when they heard this. As for that titled Douluo, he was naturally sent by the Martial Soul Hall. Wang Feng continued, "We'll talk about the specifics after you leave the Star Do Forest." At this time, the two divine beasts in the distance seemed to have finished fighting. The divine beast was covered in blood as it ran away. The two great Ming's combined efforts were not enough to kill the divine beast. After all, the situation with the starry five-headed dragon was different. The starry five-headed dragon had 3 of its heads chopped off by Wang Feng in the polar stillness domain, and its strength had been weakened by the 1,000-layer demon vanquishing domain. Coupled with the intimidation of the green lotus flag, the starry five-headed dragon had been beaten to the brink of death by the 2 Ming brothers. However, at that time, the headless General Divine Beast had not suffered any injuries. At this moment, De Ming and Er Ming also arrived. In the distance, Xiao Wu had already begun her sacrifice. She gently placed a petal of the yearning heartbroken grass in her mouth, and bright light enshrouded the 2 of them like a massive cocoon. Sigh. Xiao Wu still chose this path in the end. De Ming was situated on the ground in the distance. He had also sustained some injuries, and there was a hint of resignation in his voice. It was as if he had already anticipated this. "Those 2 bastards are too despicable. And those humans too. I'm going to beat them up next time." Ming waved his staff through the air in an enraged manner. He had sustained severe injuries, and he had been at a disadvantage during his battle with the starry five-headed dragon. During his battle with the starry five-headed dragon, the starry five-headed dragon had also sustained heavy injuries. Dai Mubai and the others were all rooted to the spot when they heard the 2 100,000-year-old soul beasts speak in human language. Several streaks of golden light fell upon the 2 soul beasts, and they quickly recovered from their injuries. "I knew you weren't dead, Wang Feng," Ming roared as he looked at Wang Feng. "It's a good thing you appeared just then. Otherwise, Big Brother and I wouldn't have been able to do anything about that human. Xiao Wu has already sacrificed herself, but we've already prepared Holy Spirit herb that can awaken her soul." Ming stabbed his staff into the ground and sat down on the ground. He looked at the red cocoon in the distance and scratched his head as he said, "It all depends on that Tang San brat. As for the other two conditions, I need a 10,000-year-old 9th-grade ginseng king that can reconstruct a human form and the inner core of an ancient soul beast." Wang Fengxin nodded. "You sure are well prepared. These conditions weren't actually difficult to fulfill. 10,000-year-old 9th-grade ginseng kings were quite rare, but Wang Feng could accelerate the ripening of a 10,000-year-old ginseng king that had yet to be plucked. Tang San already had the inner core of an ancient soul beast, and he had obtained the inner core of the 10-headed scorching sun snake on Hell Path. Also, we have to see if that brat can become a titled Douluo. As long as he can become a titled Douluo, he'll be able to completely revive Xiao Wu," Deming said in a slow voice. "Alright, you guys stay here and protect them." Wang Feng thought for a moment before saying, "I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first." Wang Feng was planning to go back and absorb the soul ring of the 5-headed star dragon. "You're leaving just like that?" Everyone was stunned to hear this. However, Wang Feng didn't linger. He unfurled his soul-devouring blood wings and prepared to leave. "Wang Feng, wait!" Zhu Zhuqing rushed over and stared blankly at him. Zhuqing, there are some things that I'll tell you later." Wang Feng gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's cheek. Zhu Zhuqing's face was stained with mud because she had been on the move, but it was still as fair and tender as ever, and it felt good to touch. At this time, because he was dressed as Jiu Yikai and was wearing a mask, no one could see his face. "Yes, I know." Zhu Zhuqing's cheeks blushed slightly as she replied softly. "I know that you are him. My feelings can't be wrong. Especially the feeling in my heart." Zhu Zhuqing felt that she might know something. She might be the only one who knew. This was because the feeling in her heart couldn't be wrong. When they were surrounded by the martial soul hall earlier, Zhu Zhuqing didn't believe Tang San when he said that the white-clothed Popediff was pretending to be Wang Feng. This was because the feeling that the white-clothed Popediff gave her was exactly the same as the feeling that the real Wang Feng gave her now. Anything could be disguised, but Zhu Zhuqing believed that this feeling couldn't be fake. This was the truth. There was a certain connection between the two meteoric tears. If they were too far apart, it might not be clear. End of chapter. Chapter 622. But at such a close distance, there was no mistaking that feeling. Therefore, Zhu Zhuqing knew something, but she didn't say anything. She didn't even ask. "Wang Feng, the great Star Do forest hasn't been peaceful recently. Be careful." Deming suddenly said, "These two soul beasts are so strong that even we can't defeat them." Wang Feng paused for a moment, then nodded. However, he thought to himself, "Don't tell me some powerful soul beasts have awakened in the great Star Do forest. More than 100,000 years?" Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. That shouldn't be the case. Wang Feng didn't think too much about it. He used his soul-devouring blood wings to teleport back to where the 5-headed star dragon was. The 5-headed star dragon's soul ring was still there. Because Wang Feng reacted in time and went to the rescue very quickly, this trip did not take too long. In fact, with the soul ring and body of a 100,000-year soul beast, Wang Feng estimated that it wouldn't disappear even if he left it for a day. "It took a lot of effort, but I can finally absorb it." Wang Feng sighed. At the same time, a familiar voice sounded in his mind. "Congratulations on successfully obtaining the second half of the secret word Qian. You can now combine the entire secret word Qian. You will be rewarded with an additional 20,000-year soul ring age. You can add more. Hidden check-in location activated. Rakshasa's secret realm. There are hidden rewards. If you give up, the next check-in location will be Sea God's Island. There will be additional rewards." Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat when he heard the system's voice. Hidden check-in location? Can I give up? Wang Feng took a deep breath. Wang Feng understood something about the Rakshasa secret realm. It must have something to do with a key person, Bibidon. This hidden check-in location was activated by me. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. If I didn't use the green lotus flag, but revealed my identity and killed the two soul beasts with the help of Deming and Erming, wouldn't this hidden check-in location be activated? Wang Fengxin was a little excited when he thought of this. This meant that he didn't choose to reveal his identity. Using the green lotus flag to cover the retreat of the two groups was meaningful. It was the right gamble. If you want to clock in the Rakshasa mystic realm, Wang Fengxin thought slowly, then I have to gain Bibidon's trust. I don't think it's enough for Bibidon to trust me. 100,000-year soul beast, Wang Feng took a deep breath. Unless I bring the first 100,000-year soul beast back. It seemed that the difficulty of this task was not ordinary. However, as long as he could do it, he would be able to discover Bibidon's greatest secret. The Rakshasa mystic realm should be the place of inheritance for the Rakshasa deity position, right? In other words, Bibidon was already inheriting the godhood. No wonder she didn't do it herself. The system's special notification made Wang Feng decide what to do next. Unfortunately, the system didn't have the ability to let Wang Feng know the specific trust level of Bibidon. However, this was enough. After all, Wang Feng was in a real world, and the other party was not an NPC. In that case, let's absorb this five-headed stellar dragon first. Wang Feng thought for a while. This was a true 100,000-year soul beast. It was a completely different concept compared to the ice dragon whale. Moreover, in terms of bloodline, the five-headed stellar dragon was not inferior at all. Wang Feng turned his palm and the green lotus flag appeared. He sat cross-legged on the ground and guided the five-headed stellar dragon's huge soul ring with his soul power. The complete front secret word provides protection for spiritual cultivation. However, it is not possible to comprehend it in a short period of time. Right now, I've only comprehended a little bit of it and comprehended the cultivation method within. Strengthen the soul. Wang Fengxin thought. With the guidance of his soul power, the scarlet soul ring landed on Wang Feng's body. In an instant, a huge amount of soul power poured into Wang Feng's body like 10,000 streams returning to the sea. Wang Fengxin was shocked. Indeed, this was a completely different concept from absorbing a 90,000-year soul ring. Moreover, the direct 100,000-year soul ring was upgraded by the system and didn't have too many side effects. It was completely different from absorbing a 100,000-year soul ring. Fortunately, with Wang Feng's current physical fitness, he could still withstand the impact of this soul ring. What a strong consciousness! Wang Fengxin was shocked. He felt that the five-headed stellar dragon's consciousness still remained in this soul ring. As the soul power entered his mind, it let out a crazy roar. How strong was the consciousness of a 100,000-year soul beast! Furthermore, this five-headed stellar dragon was known for its spiritual power. Its illusion domain was a powerful spiritual attack. Naturally, this five-headed stellar dragon's consciousness was also very strong. At the same time, Wang Feng sensed the special abilities of the five-headed stellar dragon's five heads. The first head was the strongest one. It could unleash the illusion domain and had the strongest spiritual power. It was considered the main brain. Wang Feng didn't know that the second head had been chopped off. However, now that he was absorbing the soul ring, he knew that it had the ability to regenerate. As long as this head wasn't chopped off, the other heads could quickly grow out. After learning this, Wang Feng was a little relieved. Fortunately, this head with the ability to regenerate was chopped off in the two extremities, static domain. Otherwise, this five-headed stellar dragon would be in big trouble. The third head was also one of the heads chopped off by Wang Feng. Its ability was control. Spiritual control could be attached to a domain. It could also be used on an enemy to carry out special spiritual control. It could cause the enemy's spirit to be shaken. The first 3 heads were chopped off by Wang Feng. Therefore, when the 2 extremities' static domain disappeared, the 5-headed stellar dragon's domain also disappeared. Its strength was greatly reduced. The 4th and 5th heads were the 2 heads that had unleashed the 2 terrifying long-range attacks. Their abilities were similar. They had extremely strong destructive abilities. The energy fluctuations they emitted could destroy everything. If the 2 heads attacked the same enemy at the same time, they would cause terrifying damage. After learning about the 5-headed stellar dragon's 5 heads, Wang Fengxin thought, no wonder Ming couldn't beat this bastard. It's definitely strong. The abilities of these 5 heads are quite strong. With a thought, 6 blood traces slowly rose from Wang Feng's body. The dark angel martial soul suddenly appeared in Wang Feng's sea of consciousness. 3 bright spiritual water droplets emitted a dazzling light. Wang Fengxin recited the first secret word. The spiritual water droplets started to emit intense light. Like a huge whirlpool, spiritual power started to condense crazily. The 5-headed stellar dragon's spiritual consciousness was extremely condensed. However, in front of the dark angel martial soul, it shrank. It didn't dare to move at all. In the end, it turned into white spiritual mist and was directly absorbed by Wang Feng. This 5-headed stellar dragon's spiritual power was extremely strong. Even though it was dead, its remnant soul in the soul ring was still an extremely powerful spiritual power. End of chapter. Chapter 623. Wang Feng used the dark angel martial soul that was almost complete to shock it and then crazily absorbed it and turned it into spiritual water droplets. Slowly, the number of spiritual water droplets increased. From 3 droplets it became 6 droplets until it became 9 droplets. With so many droplets it naturally formed a stream. The stream was about the size of a thumb and was not long. Wang Feng looked into his body and saw that it was about the same size as the stream of urine. However, this was also a kind of change and not just spiritual water droplet. This spiritual water stream is getting bigger and bigger. It should be able to form a river, a lake, or even a sea. Wang Feng was quite happy that his spiritual power had increased again. Although Wang Feng did not have any spiritual power attack methods now, the increase in spiritual power meant that his soul would become stronger. There were naturally many benefits. The simplest one was that the power of the Xianming flying sword would definitely become stronger. At the same time, the increase in Wang Feng's spiritual power had a great effect on the emptiness realm. Vaguely, Wang Feng felt that if he combined the anterior secret word and emptiness realm, he might be able to form a completely new combat state. The anterior secret word was a mental and soul cultivation method. It also had the ability to predict. When it was practiced to great success, one could see the future and predict future events. But in fact, even if it was not practiced to great success, after comprehending and cultivating, one would also have a special sense of danger in battle. It could allow one to avoid the enemy's fatal attack in advance. Thinking of this, Wang Feng suddenly remembered that after Tang San and the martial spirit palace left, he stood in front of the 5-headed starry dragon. Why did he suddenly have a bad feeling? Because of this feeling, Wang Feng then thought of the Bibidon and woke up. At the critical moment, he appeared in front of Tang San and the others. Otherwise, Xiao Wu might have been taken away by now. Wang Feng guessed that this special bad feeling was most likely because he had practiced the front secret word. Otherwise, Wang Feng would not have such a feeling for no reason. Although it was just a feeling, if he did not have this bad feeling, Wang Feng would not have thought so much later, because the battle had already ended. The front secret word is still very strong. Wang Fengxin was secretly shocked. After all, this was one of the 9 esoteric arts of shrouding the heavens, a supreme secret technique created by a great emperor of an era. Wang Feng controlled the enormous amount of soul power from the 100,000-year soul ring after his spiritual power had been enhanced once more. He slowly strengthened his body before surging it into the 5 lotus leaves of the chaotic green lotus in his sea of consciousness. Because he had absorbed the 5-headed dragon's spiritual consciousness, Wang Feng's current spiritual power could barely control the enormous amount of soul power contained within this 100,000-year soul ring. The 5 element flags were transformed from 5 lotus leaves. At level 60, there was only one change. At this moment, as the soul power of the 100,000-year soul ring surged in, the remaining 4 lotus leaves started to shine with a bright luster. 5 different types of light instantly bloomed. The second lotus leaf and the third lotus leaf quietly transformed into a flaming flag and a white flag respectively. Wang Fengguang guessed that these should be the floating flame flag and the white cloud-bound flag. They all had different uses. Wang Feng did not know the specifics. He would have to experiment to find out. However, as the 2 flags transformed, the remaining 2 lotus leaves were unable to transform. However, it was filled with light and looked like it was about to change. Maybe it's because of the level of my soul power. Is there a limit? Wang Feng furrowed his brows. I've used part of the 100,000-year soul ring to change its form, and the other part to increase my soul power. My current soul power is around rank 65. It seems that I'll need to increase my soul power rank to fully transform the remaining 2 flags. The 6th form of the innate 5-element flags was very special, which made Wang Feng unable to figure it out for a while. Probably no one in the Douluo world could understand this situation. Only Wang Feng could slightly comprehend it. Even a master couldn't help him much on his path. The chaotic green lotus martial soul was the most mysterious. Wang Feng didn't know what special abilities would appear in each form. Moreover, I don't want to have any soul skills. Wang Feng was a little speechless. Could it be that the 5-element flags didn't completely appear? 100,000-year soul ring usually gives 2 soul skills, so at least one is given first. However, although there were no soul skills, these 3 flags seem to have gained different abilities because of the 5-headed dragon soul ring. Green flag, flame flag, cloud flag, in short, the ability of the green flag had obviously been used. It could remove the opponent's domain power, the effect of calming the mind, and it was an area effect. Although it was not a domain, this ability was not inferior to a domain. Wang Feng tried it. If he cultivated within the range of this green flag, the speed would be much faster. Moreover, the effect of calming the mind meant that it was difficult to have inner demons and make mistakes in cultivation. For example, those mental attacks were almost impossible to be effective. After fusing with the ability of the 5-headed dragon, a huge vitality would be born within the range of the green flag. It was one of the 5-headed dragon's regeneration ability. It could probably heal creatures within the range, but it could only heal lives. It was very suitable for group fights. It could only be used one by one with the golden lotus, which was much better, but its strength was definitely not comparable. The effect of the flame flag and the additional ability of the 5-headed dragon, Wang Feng wasn't too clear as he had never tried it. In ancient myths, it was said to be able to confuse yin and yang, reverse the 5 elements. It sounded very awesome, but if it was just a martial soul, Wang Feng guessed that it should be an anti-restraining ability. For example, wasn't Tang San's blue-silver grass immune to fire? If this flag was used, your fire would be extinguished. Also, the immunity to physical attacks and mental attacks, could it be directly removed? Or vice versa, other restraints could be directly removed. Of course, Wang Feng was just guessing. He would only know the specific situation after using it. After all, this was not a soul skill. After a soul skill was used, Wang Feng automatically knew what effect it had. But this was the ability of the 5-element flag itself, just like the previous forms. He needed to explore and experiment on his own. The white cloud boundary flag, which was the cloud flag, surprised Wang Feng. There was only a hazy space inside the flag, dense mist. Wang Feng vaguely felt that this flag was somewhat special, and he was afraid that it could carry living creatures inside. If that was the case, then it would be awesome. He would find time to go to the extreme north and take in his 4 underlings. Then, he would fight a group fight. There might be other effects, but he would only know after experimenting. Wang Feng felt that most of his soul skills were to add statuses, all kinds of amplification, or weaken the enemy. There were actually quite few offensive soul skills. For example, his second soul skill, Ice Flame Furious Lotus. As for other soul skills, Deification, Soul-Devouring Blood Wings, Thorny Lotus, and even Universal Divine Light and Ice Reflection, they were all to amplify or weaken, or to add special attack statuses. If he really used them, they would all be ordinary attack. End of this chapter. Chapter 624. Wang Feng added the soul-devouring blood wings to his 4th soul ring because of the 20,000-year soul ring given by the system. His 4th soul ring was the bloodthirsty dragon beetle's soul ring. It was originally only 60,000 years, but it was upgraded to 20,000 years in the Pope's palace and obtained a new ability to teleport. Now, it was upgraded to a 100,000-year soul ring, but it didn't have an additional soul skill. Instead, it strengthened the soul-devouring blood wings. It doubled the amplification and increased the distance of teleportation. This surprised Wang Feng. Of course, these were only soul skills. They didn't include the abilities of each form. The soul skills contained in the soul bones were the spirit seal plus siphon of the torso bone, which was a relatively powerful combination. The Dark Angel didn't have a soul ring attached to it. However, the power of the blood patterns and the original sin's domain were cultivated. They were the amplification of abilities and the weakening of statuses in the domain. After the martial soul possession, the 6 pairs of wings would increase his speed and flying ability. He could be called a king in the sky. The 2 soul skills of the skull, Hazy Shadow and Perception, were auxiliary-type soul skills and were very useful. Especially Hazy Shadow, which Wang Feng used most of the time. It was the same for Perception. When he saw through the fake Little Wu in the Starlight 5-headed dragon's illusion domain, he relied on Perception. These 2 soul skills were mostly automatically released by Wang Feng. The mysterious underworld armor was called armor now, but it wasn't enough to describe the strength of this external soul bone. Pure soul skills only reflected damage and weakened defense. However, Wang Feng used the mysterious underworld spike to change its form. It was versatile and was Wang Feng's most commonly used ability. As for his self-created Absolute Wind Lightning Spear, the conditions to use it were more stringent. However, the 7 Killings sword technique and sword intent could unleash extraordinary power when combined with the power of the blood patterns. At the top of the many abilities, the strongest was the Pangu axe that Wang Feng hadn't used for some time. Lonely. With Wang Feng's current rank 65 strength, he might be able to kill a 100,000-year soul beast with the Pangu axe. If I have the Pangu axe true body, can I kill gods? Wang Fengxin's heart jumped. He felt that this idea was a little exaggerated. However, it wasn't possible. With Wang Feng's current strength, he could use the Pangu axe normally, but only normally. If I go all out, I'll probably be able to compete with a rank 98 titled Doulu. Wang Feng pondered for a while. Although he was only at rank 65, he had 300,000-year soul rings and many other abilities, so there was no problem for him. However, actual combat was a different story. The appearance of the 5-element flags gave Wang Feng more means to deal with his enemies. However, he didn't have any soul skills at the moment. He would have to wait until all of the 5-element flags appeared. After absorbing the 100,000-year soul ring, Wang Fengxian's heart skipped a beat as he looked at the corpse in the distance. 100,000-year soul beast would definitely have a soul explosion bone. As expected, a right thigh bone shining with a star-like luster appeared in Wang Feng's line of sight. Wang Feng only took half a day to absorb the soul ring. Now that it was done, his entire body felt refreshed. The right leg bone of the 100,000-year stellar, five-headed dragon. Wang Feng's eyes lit up. Without any hesitation, Wang Feng picked it up and began to absorb and refine it. Under the feet of the five-headed starry dragon, there were traces similar to stars, which could be seen from the previous footprints. However, these traces couldn't be underestimated. According to what Wang Feng learned from the cowardly Kuan, these traces were one of the sources of the five-headed starry dragon's strength. It was used to absorb the power of the stars and earth, and formed these traces. The further one cultivated, the more obvious these traces would be, and they would give the five-headed starry dragon greater strength. The thigh bone wasn't big and it was bright silver. The light it emitted was like stars in the night sky. Wang Feng's absorption speed was very fast. Around midnight, this thigh bone was completely formed. Under the dim moonlight, Wang Feng gently channeled his soul power, and this thigh bone appeared and attached itself to his right leg. The silver light was beautiful, and many stars shone on the streamlined thigh bone. 2 soul skills. Wang Feng took a deep breath. The strength of this thigh bone wasn't inferior to the bloodthirsty ice dragon's torso bone. Wang Feng fused the bloodthirsty ice dragon's torso bone with the cauldron of heaven and earth, so it was naturally a very strong 100,000-year soul bone. The first soul skill was called Star Cannon. It was a powerful destructive light cannon. It was a single target attack, and it was very powerful. Most importantly, it was instantaneous. However, it needed to be charged, and could only fire 3 shots at a time. It could only be used again after it was fully charged. As it was a long-range single-target attack, its range was very small. However, Wang Feng estimated that its strength could severely injure and kill any soul master below the level of a transcendent Douluo. Furthermore, it was instantaneous, and it was very difficult for enemies to defend against it. Unless they defended in advance, they might not be able to defend against it. Its strength was much stronger than Wang Feng's mysterious underworld flying sword. It was strong in terms of the speed of the light cannon. It was too fast and too far. Wang Feng's flying sword wasn't as fast. As he lifted his leg, it was a light cannon. The second soul skill was called Star Core. It increased one's soul power by 100%. The greatest increase in soul power was naturally the increase in the strength of soul skills. It was equivalent to increasing the strength of soul skills by 50%. However, this Star Core was like a catalyst. It wasn't a passive skill, but was released together with other soul skills, causing their strength to increase. With the Star Cannon as an example, after obtaining a 50% increase in strength, it could basically kill any soul master below the level of a transcendent Douluo. It made up for Wang Feng's lack of long-range attacks. After all, Wang Feng was using the mysterious underworld flying sword now, and it was only a normal attack. Now that his spiritual power had increased, he couldn't kill a normal titled Douluo instantly. He would need a few more moves to be faster. The Ice Flame Furious Lotus was a long-range attack. With Wang Feng's current strength, it could cause damage to normal titled Douluo. However, it couldn't kill them instantly. The Ice Flame Furious Lotus might be able to, but it needed to accumulate power and wasn't instantaneous. If the other party sensed it, they would run away or defend. Furthermore, the Star Cannon's attack range was very far. It could reach up to 2,000 meters. With Wang Feng's spiritual power, once he locked onto the enemy, it was impossible to dodge. Wang Feng's mysterious underworld flying sword was about 1,000 meters. When it formed the spiritual water droplets earlier, the flying sword's attack range exceeded 100 meters. Every droplet increased its attack range by 50 to 100 meters. 1,000 meters was a bottleneck, and when it formed the spiritual stream, it broke through to 1,000 meters. I'm done resting. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. It's time to hunt 100,000-year soul beast. I'll choose that headless general divine beast. I can test the strength of my white cloud-bound flag and subdue that soul beast. After that, I'll put it inside and bring it back to the martial soul hall. I'll gain Bibidan's trust. You have to give me a clue about this, right? Let me know where the Rakshasa's secret realm is? P.S. It's a little late, there are still a few more chapters. End of this chapter. Chapter 625. Wang Feng knew that it wasn't going to be an easy task to earn Bibidan's trust. It could be said that both the soul hunt and the hunt for Xiao Wu had failed. Bibidan had been in charge of the soul hunt, so she could only blame herself for the failure. However, Wang Feng had been in charge of the hunt for Xiao Wu. Even though Wang Feng had saved the martial spirit hall, it was still going to be very difficult for Bibidan to trust him enough to tell him about the Rakshasa's secret realm. In addition to his experience with Bibidan, Wang Feng felt that he would have to satisfy her with a 100,000-year soul beast if he wanted to earn Bibidan's trust. However, it would be extremely difficult to bring a 100,000-year soul beast back to the martial spirit hall. It was difficult to say if there was a second soul beast on the entire continent who could take human form like Xiao Wu. Normal 100,000-year soul beasts were all extremely large, and it would be even more difficult to force them to submit than to kill them. Taking them with him would be even more difficult. 100,000-year soul beasts weren't cabbages that could be easily picked up and carried away. The appearance of the White Cloud Realm flag had given Wang Feng the idea that if he could release a soul beast into the flag, then there really was a chance that he could bring a 100,000-year soul beast back. Wang Feng didn't want to capture another 100,000-year soul beast, either. It would be best if it were an evil soul beast. Wang Feng wouldn't feel guilty if he captured one, and he could even help control the population of the soul beast. The headless mythological beast was naturally the best choice. After that, Wang Feng began to search for the headless mythological beast in the Great Star Do Forest. As he searched, Wang Feng recalled Deming's warning. Soon, Wang Feng entered the core region of the Great Star Do Forest, and there was a layer of illusionary mist shrouding this place. The energy of heaven and earth has been blocked. Wang Fengxin's heart stirred slightly upon hearing this. Deming and Erming were situated in a lake, which was also part of the core region of the Great Star Do Forest. However, it seemed to be a little different from this place. The Great Star Do Forest was far too large, and even Deming and Erming didn't dare to claim that they knew everything about the forest. They were known as the Kings of the Forest and the Emperors of the Forest. However, this was a title that was spread among soul beasts. The soul beasts that truly entered the core regions of the forest were divided into different categories. There was no detailed explanation in the original work because it wasn't involved. For example, the extreme north didn't even have such a name. It was just a forest of ice and snow soul beasts. However, the core area was divided into 5 major areas, each occupied by 5 overlord-level existences. Perhaps the Great Star Do Forest had a similar division. It was just that it was not as obvious as that place in the far north. That headless general divine beast is extremely violent and ferocious. Even in the core region, it is considered an overlord. After entering the misty core region, Wang Feng's perception was greatly reduced. Moreover, the heaven and earth energy in this place was very thin, as if it had been absorbed. His soul power couldn't be replenished here. Found it. Wang Fengxin narrowed his eyes. The headless general divine beast's aura was actually very easy to find. After activating his dark angel martial soul, Wang Feng was extremely sensitive to violent and ferocious auras. Even though the misty core region could obstruct his skull's perception, it couldn't block his dark angel martial soul's ability to sense all kinds of emotions. About a few hundred meters away, the headless General Divine Beast was still in the distance. Wang Fengxin was about to charge forward and attack when he noticed that the headless General Divine Beast was growling. It seemed to be communicating in a special language. Wang Feng felt that it wasn't the language of Soul Beast. There was a hint of fear in its growls. Did I discover something? The misty core region parted to reveal another huge soul beast in Wang Feng's line of sight. Wang Feng immediately saw the soul beast in front of the headless General Divine Beast. It was a pitch-black soul beast about the size of 3 people. It had 9 heads and 6 arms, and it looked like Neza from Wang Feng's memories. However, it had too many heads. Furthermore, this monster was a soul beast. It didn't look like a human's head. It looked like a snake's head with 9 heads. A 9-headed snake? Wang Fengxin was startled. It seems that my monster captain, Saul, is going to make a comeback? However, this 9-headed snake seemed to be very strong. It exuded an extremely evil and savage aura. Wang Feng could clearly sense it from more than 1,000 meters away. However, the misty core region blocked his perception. Coupled with Wang Feng's Shadowma's soul skill, he wasn't detected. Soon, the 9-headed snake roared at the headless General Divine Beast and disappeared. Only the headless General Divine Beast was left, pounding the ground and roaring angrily. Here's my chance. Wang Fengxin was moved. If the 2 soul beasts were here, he would be courting death. Although the headless General Divine Beast was severely injured, it still had its strength. The 9-headed snake seemed to be much stronger than the 5-headed star dragon. After waiting for a while, when the 9-headed snake showed no signs of appearing, Wang Feng made his move. Without any hesitation, he suddenly jumped up and kicked out in the air. This place was very strange. At this time, the headless General Divine Beast was severely injured. Wang Feng didn't intend to use other abilities. The Pangu axe was too powerful. It would be bad if it attracted the headless General Divine Beast's attention. It was also a good opportunity for Wang Feng to test the power of the 100,000-year right leg bone. The right leg bone flashed. First, a walnut-sized crystal core appeared. Then, a beam of light shot out from the leg bone. When the beam of light hit the crystal core, it suddenly became 50% bigger and more powerful. Then, it bombarded the headless General Divine Beast. It was the leg bone's 2 soul skills, Star Core and Star Cannon. At this moment, the headless General Divine Beast was hit from 700 to 800 meters away. Its huge body was directly pierced through, leaving a huge hole. Too fast. Too strong. The combination of these 2 skills increased the power in all aspects. Moreover, it was difficult to react to. Most importantly, because it was a single-target skill, it didn't cause much of a disturbance. Then, Wang Feng activated his full strength and rushed over. He didn't use the soul-devouring Blood Wings teleportation because it was a long-distance teleportation. After being strengthened, it could cover a longer distance. It couldn't be used for short-distance teleportation. It could only be used to rush or escape. With Wang Feng's current strength, he arrived at the headless General Divine Beast's side in just a few seconds after eating the Star Cannon. At this moment, the headless General Divine Beast was lying on the ground with a huge hole in its body. It roared angrily. Swish! Wang Feng turned the green lotus flag in his hand. A green light shrouded the surroundings, preventing the headless General Divine Beast from releasing its domain. Don't be noisy. If you make any more noise, I will directly kill your head. Wang Feng frowned. End of chapter. Chapter 626. Hearing this, the divine beast immediately stopped roaring. Clearly, it had recognized Wang Feng. Human, what are you trying to do? Do you know where this is? The divine beast spoke in human language. Its voice was like a drum, and it was extremely ferocious. If you dare to walk in and kill me, you won't be able to walk out. I don't care where you are. Wang Feng narrowed his eyes. I won't kill you. I just need to take you away. Ha 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 ha. The divine beast let out a loud laugh. You want to take me away? Do you think you can take me away? Do you think I will go with you? Its body was like a mountain, and Wang Feng felt like he was standing on top of a small hill when he stood on it. The lower abdomen that was pierced by the star cannon was like a big well, and black blood was flowing out. Wang Feng remained silent, and the white cloud-bound flag appeared in his hand. The innate 5-element flags were one, and all of them could appear. It was different from the previous 5, where only one could appear. Then, Wang Feng thought for a few seconds, and his palm directly sucked a drop of the divine beast's blood, and dripped it on the white cloud-bound flag. In the next moment, the divine beast's body shook, and it seemed to have a connection with Wang Feng. Absorb! Wang Feng's mind moved, and white mist suddenly appeared from the white cloud-bound flag. It was like a giant vacuum cleaner, and it sucked in the giant beast. While sucking, Wang Feng realized that his spiritual power was being consumed rapidly. By the time the divine beast was completely absorbed, Wang Feng discovered that his spiritual stream had been depleted to the size of a pinky finger. Wang Feng was really shocked. The white cloud boundary flag could indeed suck in soul beasts, but the amount of spiritual power required to do so was a little ridiculous. He had already expended such a large amount of spiritual energy to deal with a severely injured divine beast general. If 2 more of them were to come, he would be directly sucked dry. Wang Fengxin secretly scolded himself for being too impatient. He should have found other weaker soul beasts to try first. It was fortunate that his mental strength had been greatly improved. Otherwise, he would have died from mental exhaustion after absorbing the energy. Cloud Flag's ability is indeed able to collect soul beasts. This place is equivalent to a mustard seed space. Wang Fengxin's heart stirred. As his soul power circulated, the white cloud-bound flag emitted a faint light, forming a layer of mist. Wang Fengxin could see through this layer of mist and see the scene inside. The divine beast was roaring angrily from within. Human, let me out! Wang Feng frowned slightly. Soon after, his mind moved. In an instant, the divine beast seemed to have been struck by lightning and stopped talking. Seeing this, Wang Fengxin was delighted. Although he couldn't control the life and death of the soul beasts inside the white cloud-bound flag, the flag didn't have that ability either. However, he could still sense the other party. Moreover, because he had fused with the 5-headed stellar dragon's ability, he could use his mind to control this divine beast general. One of the abilities of the 5-headed dragon was mental control, which could cause mental shock to the enemy. Evidently, Wang Feng could do the same to the soul beasts in the white cloud boundary flag. However, the prerequisite was that only the soul beasts in the white cloud boundary flag could be subjected to such a mind-controlling attack. This meant that as long as the soul beasts were sucked into the flag, Wang Feng could slowly control them. However, this required a lot of spiritual power. Very good. It's time to return to the martial soul hall. On the other side, Xiao Wu's sacrifice only lasted for a day, and Tang San had already recovered. Everyone stayed beside him for a day, including De Ming and Er Ming. What? You're saying that Captain came here 6 years ago to train with you two for half a year? Then could it be that the 40 or 60,000 year soul ring that Captain obtained was also yours? Did he kill it himself? You don't feel as strong as Captain right now? Dai Mubai and the others gathered around De Ming and Er Ming and chatted as they recounted what had happened in the past few years. From time to time, they would exclaim in surprise. That's a little unreasonable. No wonder Big Brother Feng pretended to be a 6-ring soul emperor when he came back 6 years ago to test us. He's ridiculously strong. Ma Hongjun suddenly said, "Why don't we train here for half a year as well?" His words instantly stunned the few of them. Er Ming bared his teeth and a powerful gravity domain instantly enveloped them. No problem. You're all Xiao Wu's friends, and I've heard from Xiao Wu over the past 5 years that if you want to train, I'm itching to do so. A flush appeared on Ma Hongjuan's face, and he instantly gave up on this idea. Ahem, if this fatso is willing to train with us, then let's just forget about it. Cold sweat was pouring down Dai Mubai's face. Asking them to train with a 100,000-year-old soul beast was simply asking for death. What? Are you scared now? Ming shook his head. To be honest, Wang Feng was only as powerful as he was when I beat him up. However, he really can take a beating. No matter how badly I beat him up the day before, he'll always be alive and kicking the next day. However, I most likely won't be able to beat him now. Everyone fell silent upon hearing this. The situation had been quite urgent, and they had been in a hazy state this entire time, but after some rest and recuperation, they were finally able to make sense of the situation. Now that they thought about it, Wang Feng was able to kill a titled Douluo after 5 years. What did this mean? That phantom Douluo was no ordinary titled Douluo. He was terrifyingly powerful. Even so, he was completely unable to do anything to Wang Feng, and in the end, he was incinerated into nothingness by those mysterious flames. In reality, they didn't know that the phantom Douluo was still alive. At this moment, Tang San also slowly regained consciousness in the distance. Everyone hurriedly made their way over to him, and Ming also drew closer to him. There was also a little rabbit beside Tang San, and it was snuggling up to Tang San with an infatuated look in its eyes. After waking up, Tang San was very silent. He was aware of everything that had happened, and his consciousness had always been clear. Third brother. Ma Hongjun opened his mouth and wanted to tell Tang San everything that had just happened. I know everything. Tang San gently picked up the little rabbit in his arms, and his voice was filled with determination. There's no need to say anything. I'll quickly become a titled Douluo. A red soul ring flashed over his body, exuding a burst of gentle energy that was filled with love for Xiao Wu. As a result, Tang San felt as if heaven and earth had been turned upside down. There was no doubt that a 100,000-year soul ring was extremely powerful, and this was a sacrifice. Sacrifice itself was a special ability, and it was completely different from a soul beast voluntarily giving its soul ring to a human. At the same time, a leg bone gently adhered itself to Tang San's leg. It really did belong to Xiao Wu. I'm sure you know the conditions for her resurrection, right? Ming asked in a grim voice. We've already found the holy soul herb, but your spiritual power isn't strong enough. Xiao Wu's body is still in perfect condition after absorbing the medicinal power of the yearning heartbroken red, and she still has you in her consciousness. As for the other 2 conditions, Wang Feng said that they're very easy to fulfill. All you have to do is become more powerful. If you can't become a titled Douluo, then there's no way Xiao Wu can be resurrected. End of chapter. Chapter 627. Tang San nodded solemnly. Brother Feng could accelerate the ripening of immortal herbs, and he had the inner core of an ancient spirit beast. These were all basic safeguards. Actually, you did very well back then, Deming said. Deming spoke in a calmer voice than Ming's. You've been waiting for an opportunity to leave this entire time. That person in white is very mysterious and powerful. You were able to escape with Xiao Wu and the others at that moment, and that was the best outcome. Deming had thought much more than Ming. At that time, the timing that Tang San grasped was indeed perfect. There was no better way to escape than at that moment. However, the 5-headed star dragon was too violent, and it had blasted out 2 pillars of light in a row. Tang San hadn't expected that. Besides, that beast's attack was very powerful. Neither you nor Xiao Wu would have survived that attack. Deming sighed. The fact that you were able to protect Xiao Wu in the end means that you were willing to die for her. Now that Xiao Wu has sacrificed herself to you, we won't blame you. Both Ming and I understand the relationship between the two of you. Do your best, child. You still have a long way to go, and your enemies are very powerful. Several days later, in the pontiff's palace. Slap! Bibidan slammed the table and rose to her feet again. What? 400,000-year soul beast? Bibidan listened to the six-titled Douluo's report, and she was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. How could there be so many? These were 100,000-year soul beasts. She had only seen a few of them so far. She had expected that the infant soul beast in human form would be accompanied by other soul beasts of the same level. How could there be so many of them? From what we can tell, there are 200,000-year soul beasts that are related to that humanoid soul beast. The snake spear Douluo replied, the king of the forest, the titan giant ape, and the emperor of the forest, the sky azure bull python, should be those two. The other two had extremely evil and savage auras, and they were no weaker than those two. When we arrived, the 400,000-year soul beasts were fighting. Hearing this, Bibi Dong fell silent. She hadn't expected the appearance of 400,000-year soul beasts, each stronger than the last. That human-shaped soul beast is very cunning. He lured the 400,000-year soul beasts over. The 1,000 June Douluo coughed twice, and his face was a little pale as he said, the domains of these 400,000-year soul beasts have trapped us to death. How did you escape unscathed? Beside Bibidan, the golden alligator Douluo looked at the six of them. 400,000-year soul beasts. If he had been present, they might have been able to escape unscathed. However, with the strength of these six people, it was impossible for them to withstand 400,000-year-old beasts. The soul beast's attack was powerful. Just the 4 domains alone were enough to make it difficult for them to retreat. It's Popediff. There was a hint of respect in the 1,000 June Douluo's eyes. This trace of reverence made Bibidan's eyes light up slightly. So Lord Popediff has a second martial soul. The Qianjun Douluo continued. Hearing this, Bibidan was shocked. Twin martial souls? What's his second martial soul? It's a special kind of flag. The 1,000 June Douluo replied. After this flag appeared, it instantly removed the domains of the 300,000-year soul beasts. It calmed the rampaging soul power in our bodies, and also calmed our minds. This allowed us to retreat quickly. Furthermore, this flag seems to have a deterrent effect on soul beasts. He spoke of the scene he saw and the situation he sensed without holding anything back. The rest of the titled Douluo nodded. Flag? Remove domains? Bibidan was a little shocked. Is there such a strong ability? This is the first time I've heard of such a martial soul. This should be a special kind of domain? It should be, because the flag covered a huge area. Suddenly, Bibidan and the golden alligator Douluo fell silent. It seemed like Popediff was still hiding his strength. He hadn't revealed it yet. The two of them had never heard of such a strong martial soul before. Where is he? Bibidan was silent for a moment before he asked. The failure of their plan was due to the 400,000-year soul beast. They couldn't blame anyone else. It was already very rare for the martial soul hall that they hadn't been completely wiped out. Otherwise, the death of 6 titled Douluo and more than 30 high-level soul masters would have been a huge blow to the martial soul hall. Popediff is, the 6 titled Douluo were speechless. Seeing that the 6 of them couldn't say anything, Bibidan understood. He was definitely gone. Such a strong martial soul and frightening ability must have consumed a lot of his martial soul. He could only intimidate them temporarily, but he couldn't escape. That was impossible. Once he used up all his martial soul, the golden alligator Douluo wouldn't dare to say that he could escape from the 400,000-year soul beast. No, he's not dead. He can't be dead. At this moment, Hulaina, who had been silent all this while, suddenly shouted furiously. He was able to bring me out of Hell Road. It was so dangerous back then. He can't die this time. The holy lady's furious roar made the six-titled Douluo even more silent. Bibidon also sighed softly. He thought to himself, this Wang Wu is really a pure person. He's arrogant and strong. I can't feel any emotions. But once he's decided to do something, he'll never be disloyal. Such a person was too rare. Bibidon had never seen such a person before. Bibidon recalled what had happened after Nicholas Wang Wu joined them. He had carried out all his plans meticulously. Whether it was patrolling the entire continent or subduing the four sects were now following the martial soul hall wholeheartedly. Or the soul hunt that followed. Although the soul hunt had failed, Wang Wu had no choice. But there was nothing he could do about it. Wang Feng was still alive. This was his biggest mistake. But even so, the martial soul hall didn't suffer any losses after their plan was exposed. This soul hunt had also failed. It seemed like the heavens weren't on the martial soul hall's side. Bibidon didn't know who to blame. No plan was perfect, but under the premise that both plans had failed, Popedif Wang Wu could be said to have done everything he could to preserve the strength of the martial soul hall. It's a pity that Popedif didn't appear earlier. Bibidon sighed in his heart. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any 7 sects. At this moment, a red-robed cardinal suddenly rushed in from outside the hall and said in a trembling voice, "Your Highness, there's news from outside. Lord Popedif has appeared." Once he said this, the entire hall fell silent. Hulaina rushed in front of this red-robed cardinal and asked loudly, "What did you say?" End of chapter. Chapter 6:28. The red-robed bishop took 2 deep breaths and hurriedly continued, "Lord Popedif has appeared. He sent someone to report that although the mission failed, he brought back a special gift for His Majesty. 10 days later, in the forest outside Martial Spirit City, he asked His Majesty and the elders to personally take a look. The news was sent by Lord Popedif from the Martial Spirit Palace in the city closest to the Great Star Do Forest. A gift? Everyone was stunned. It was already unbelievable that Popedif could come back alive. What gift could he bring? However, Hulaina was pleasantly surprised when she heard this. She looked at Bibidon. "Teacher, I knew he wouldn't die." Bibidon's eyes sparkled. He asked in a low voice, 10 days later? "All right, I'll wait for him." The rest of the titled Douluo were both shocked and confused. What was going on with Lord Popedif? 10 days passed in a flash. On this day, Bibidon led several titled Douluo out of the Martial Spirit Palace and into the forest outside Martial Spirit City. Everyone was a little agitated. Popedif was not dead. This was too shocking. How did he survive? Those were 400,000-year soul beasts. And what was the gift? Along the way, even Bibidon was curious and confused. Everyone came to the forest outside the Martial Spirit City with many emotions in their hearts. Wait! Just as they entered the forest, Bibidon was shocked. It's the aura of 100,000-year soul beast. The rest of the titled Douluo also discovered it. It was the aura of 100,000-year soul beast. Wait, it's a little familiar. Snake Spear and the other titled Douluo looked at each other. "Your Majesty, it seems to be the aura of that headless soul beast. It was one of the 4 soul beasts that attacked us. How could it appear here?" The forest outside Martial Spirit City had been cleaned. It was impossible for any powerful soul beasts to exist, let alone 100,000-year soul beast. What was going on? Could it be related to Lord Popedif? The 1,000 Douluo suddenly said. Everyone stopped talking and quickly shuttled through the forest. Soon, after walking for 2 to 3 li, a clearing appeared in the woods. Then, a huge monster appeared in front of them. Logically speaking, the size of 100,000-year soul beast was extremely shocking. But what shocked him even more was that this 100,000-year soul beast had actually appeared in this place. This was the forest outside the Martial Spirit City. It really is that headless soul beast. The snake spear Douluo exclaimed. How is this possible? This place is so far away from the great star Do forest. How did this bastard get here? It's the headless general divine beast. The golden alligator Douluo slowly said. An extremely violent and ferocious soul beast has actually appeared here. This is truly unexpected. However, it doesn't seem to be able to move right now. It's still lying on the ground. It's rather strange. The strangest thing is, how did it get here? The golden alligator Douluo was puzzled. He was very puzzled. 100,000-year soul beast was extremely intelligent, not inferior to a human. No matter how arrogant he wouldn't dare to come all the way to Martial Spirit City. Was he simply courting death? It was just like how a titled Douluo wouldn't dare to enter the core region of the great star Do forest. It was basically courting death. All of you are Lord Poptif. The snake spear Douluo pointed at the headless general divine beast. Under its mountain-like body, there was a tiny human figure standing quietly in the distance with his hands behind his back. He was extremely charming. Because the headless general divine beast was too huge, and because they had sensed its aura the moment it arrived, everyone's attention was immediately drawn to the headless general divine beast. After hearing the snake spear Douluo's words, they were jolted awake and looked at that figure. Bibidan's eyes flashed. She had seen it immediately, but she felt that it was a little unrealistic. At this moment, he seemed to have sensed their arrival. The white-robed Pope slowly turned around and spoke in a calm voice. Although I didn't bring back that small human-shaped soul beast, I did bring back this big one. I wonder if you're satisfied with it? After hearing this, everyone was petrified. When they saw this scene, their hearts were in turmoil. Bibidan revealed a smile on her face. It wasn't a cold smile, but a smile of admiration. Not only was she satisfied, but she was also pleasantly surprised. This surprise was second only to Bibidan's that. Many titled Douluo quickly walked over and surrounded this headless general divine beast to prevent anything from happening. However, they realized that this headless general divine beast was crawling behind Wang Feng and didn't move at all. This was because its spirit had been tortured and subdued by Wang Feng over the past 10 days. No matter how violent and ferocious it was, or how much it wanted to kill the human in front of it, there was nothing it could do. Unless it could escape from the white cloud boundary flag. However, this was impossible. This was because Wang Feng had formed a connection with this monster. No matter how far it ran, Wang Feng could sense it clearly. Wang Wu! Hulaina exclaimed softly and ran towards Wang Feng. She didn't seem to care much about this 100,000-year soul beast. She only ran in front of Wang Feng and sized him up. She wanted to see if he was injured. Bibidan also walked over. Her voice was gentle. Wang Wu, it seems like you've surprised me again. However, how did you do it? According to the information they brought back, you. When Wang Feng heard this, he couldn't help but think that Bibidan was indeed Bibidan. Although she was surprised, she was still very rational. She first thought of her own situation. Evidently, she was suspicious and wary. The other titled Douluo were also stunned. Only then did they realize. I'm fine, however. Did you all think I was dead? Although Wang Feng's tone was calm, it gave off an incomparably proud and aloof feeling when it entered one's ears. Many titled Douluo lowered their heads. When you retreated that day, the five-headed dragon launched 2 attacks in the direction of all of you and that human-shaped soul beast. Wang Feng looked at Bibidan and told her all the excuses he had thought of. That Tang San and that human-shaped soul beast were severely injured because of that. It's very likely that the human-shaped soul beast was killed. Bibidan nodded slightly. She knew this. At that time, everyone from the Martial Soul Hall was also attacked. Qianjun, the demon-subduing Douluo, and the snake-spear-piercing dolphin Douluo, who still had some strength left, took the attack head-on. They weren't fully recovered even now. Even the titled Douluo were in such a state, let alone that Tang San and that human-shaped soul beast. Although that human-shaped soul beast was also a 100,000-year soul beast, it didn't have 100,000-year cultivation after transforming into a human to cultivate again. However, so what? End of chapter. Chapter 629. At this moment. You mean that the death of that human-shaped soul beast angered the 200,000-year soul beasts, the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python? Bibidan's eyes flashed. Seeing that their companion was dead, the two soul beasts targeted the five-headed dragon and the headless general? And you weren't their first target. That's right. Wang Feng nodded slightly. This Bibidan was quite smart. I cut off 3 of the 5-headed dragon's heads, and it was severely injured. It was beaten to the brink of death by the 2 soul beasts, and then it chased after the headless general. I don't know what happened after that, but they must have fought. So I was just exhausted at that time. The Phantom Douluo was definitely aware of this, as he had also gone after Tang San and Xiao Wu at the time. He must have seen it clearly. Wang Feng didn't hide much, because the ghost Douluo's soul avatar must have run back, and Bibidan probably knew what happened after that. If he hid something, it would arouse Bibidan's suspicion. When everyone heard that so many things happened after that, they were enlightened and didn't have any doubts, because it made perfect sense. There was nothing suspicious. After the 2 soul beasts left, I recovered my strength where I was. After that, I spent some effort to kill the dying 5-headed starlight dragon. Wang Feng continued. Then I absorbed its 100,000-year soul ring, and my second martial soul gained power. Then, Wang Feng summoned the white cloud-bound flag, and sucked the headless general into it in front of everyone. This is my azure flag martial soul. It gained the ability to absorb and store soul beast. Then, I wanted to use this ability to see if I could bring back a soul beast. Later, after some searching, I found this headless general that was severely injured by the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python. I crippled it and brought it back. Wang Feng finished calmly, and his tone didn't fluctuate much. It was as if everything had happened very naturally. But everyone felt suffocated as they listened. Absorbing 100,000-year soul ring and gaining a new ability? Finding an injured headless divine beast and bringing it back? If it were any other titled Douluo, they wouldn't be able to do anything like this. At the same time, no one had any doubts. It was very simple, because absorbing a soul ring and gaining a new ability was real. Everything Wang Feng said was the truth, the truth. Even Bibidan couldn't find anything suspicious. It was just that Wang Feng hid the uniqueness of the 5 flags. Wang Feng. Flags. After all, any martial soul that absorbed 100,000-year soul ring would definitely undergo changes. If there were no changes, it would be easy to arouse suspicion. However, this ability can only absorb 100,000-year soul beast for now, and it consumes a lot of energy. After walking for half a day, Wang Feng had to rest for half a day. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken 10 days to come back. All in all, Wang Feng's spiritual power was not enough, and this 100,000-year soul beast was too strong. Good. Bibidan praised. Although the plan failed this time, Wang Wu, the 100,000-year soul beast you brought back, can be said to have made an outstanding contribution to the martial spirit palace. She felt that her appreciation for this Popediff Wang Wu had reached the peak. This was a person who could create miracles. Fortunately, this person was from their martial spirit palace. Thinking of this, Bibidan even felt a little lucky. Although Wang Feng missed it, it couldn't be recovered for long. But fortunately, the appearance of this Wang Wu made Bibidan feel extremely gratified. The most important thing was the other party's loyalty to the martial spirit palace to her. This was 100,000-year soul beast. Wang Wu had the ability to collect this soul beast, so he could take it away directly, or he could come back without saying a word and keep it for his own use. But he still came back, and he even brought this 100,000-year soul beast back. Most importantly, Wang Wu said from the beginning that he wanted to bring back a 100,000-year soul beast, and it was a coincidence. What did this mean? This meant that Wang Wu, from the beginning to the end, wanted to complete the mission she gave him, and wanted to bring benefits to the martial spirit palace. His thinking was correct. This was a very important point. The key was that the other party really had the ability to do it. Although Wang Feng ruined my plan, he didn't expect it, right? Bibidan sneered in her heart. The ghost Douluo came back. Although he was in a miserable state, with half his life and his cultivation gone, he still came back. Therefore, she naturally knew that Wang Feng had appeared. He even beat the ghost Douluo to the point of only having one life left. If not for this, that human-shaped soul beast would have appeared in the martial spirit palace now. When Bibidan heard this news, she was so angry that her lungs exploded. No matter how she calculated and expected Wang Feng to appear, she never thought that Wang Feng's strength could even defeat the ghost Dalu. This made Bibidan have a feeling. Since Dong was born, why was Feng born? However, now Bibidan thought that if Wang Feng knew about this, he would probably sigh and say, since Feng was born, why was Wu born? Because the biggest beneficiary of this mission was still the martial spirit palace and Pope Diff. And according to the ghost Doluo's report, that Tang San was hit and was on the verge of death. The more she thought about it, the happier Bibidan was. She felt that she hadn't been so happy for many years. The depression from Wang Feng's various ways of ruining her plan was swept away. She felt refreshed. The more Bibidan looked at Wang Wu in front of her, the more satisfied she was. She couldn't help but look at Hu Liena, who was next to her, and suddenly sighed in her heart. Nana is still not good enough for Wang Wu. Although Nana was the most talented child in the martial spirit palace and was her direct disciple, her appearance, wisdom, and talent were 1 in a million. But compared to Pope Diff, Wang Wu, she was still pale in comparison. This person's ability, wisdom, and thoughts were so perfect that Bibidan couldn't say a word. All right, we can't let Lord Pope Diff take care of this 100,000-year soul beast for a long time. It's a burden for him. Bibidan looked at this 100,000-year soul beast, and a strange light flashed in her eyes. How about this, Qianjun subduing demon, the two of you guard it at all times and trap it behind the mountain of the Pope's palace. Don't let anyone enter. Wang Wu, come with me, I have something important to tell you. Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. It seems like Bibidan is going to tell me about the Rakshasa's secret realm? P.S. There are 5 more updates tonight. Thank you to the leader of the Balloon Shooting Tonight book. End of chapter. Chapter 630. The secret of becoming a god, compared to Bai Dong, was definitely the most deeply hidden. A place like the Rakshasa's secret realm should be a place similar to the sea god's island? Although a 100,000-year soul beast was precious, Wang Feng had no use for it now. He didn't know how long he would have to wait. Furthermore, keeping the divine beast in the white cloud boundary flag was also a form of consumption of his spiritual power. Thinking of how he could keep his 4 underlings inside and release them when fighting, Wang Feng estimated that his spiritual power would only be possible if it could evolve into a real stream or even a river. The consumption of spiritual power was related to the strength of the living beings stored inside. However, the white cloud boundary flag had another function, which was to establish a connection with the living beings inside. On the way here, Wang Feng had released that bastard, the divine beast, once, but that guy had run away. After that, Wang Feng easily sensed its location. He could even transmit his thoughts to the other party so that the other party could sense it clearly. After much consideration, Wang Feng didn't feel much about giving the 100,000-year soul beast to Bibidan. On the contrary, Even if Bibidon didn't have this 100,000-year soul beast, he would definitely hunt others. Bibidon brought Wang Feng back to the Pope's palace. A powerful soul power fluctuation bloomed in the void and enveloped the two of them. It isolated everything. This was also the second time Wang Feng felt Bibidon's aura. Powerful. It was at least the aura of a level 98, titled Doulu. Vaguely, there was also a trace of a strange aura that made Wang Feng's heart palpitate. Wang Feng had never felt such an aura before. It's the aura of a god. Wang Feng's pupils shrank slightly. Indeed, Bibidon should have started inheriting the Rakshasa deity position long ago. However, Wang Feng knew that Bibidon didn't want to kill him. With his current strength, Bibidon couldn't kill him instantly. At most, he could defeat him. It should be to prevent any leakage of information between the two of them. That was why this soul power barrier was released. Wang Wu, your ability is far beyond my imagination, Bibidon said slowly. She carried Wang Feng and walked two-step. Her luxurious white and gold robe fluttered gently, and the tricolored gemstones on her body shone with a noble luster. The purple-gold crown on his head gave off an aura of majesty. His calm tone had a hint of praise. Do you know what is above a rank 99 titled Douluo? Bibidon turned around and looked at Wang Feng with a smile on his face. It's level 100, Wang Feng said. Bibidon nodded. That's right, level 100. However, there are no rank 100 titled Douluo in our world. There were no rank 100 titled Douluo on the Douluo continent. Some of them had basically become gods and would no longer stay on the continent. That's probably because I haven't been born yet, Wang Feng continued. Once I'm here, I'll reach level 100. When Bibidon heard this, he was stunned and could not help but laugh a few times. I forgot that you've been cultivating in the extreme north all this time. You don't know much about the secrets of this world. Bibidon shook his head slightly. However, this Wang Wu was indeed arrogant to the extreme. This kind of arrogance was a kind of arrogance that carried a strong self-confidence. What are you trying to say? Wang Feng asked as if he knew nothing. Bibidon did not answer this question. Instead, he said directly, we mortals can't cultivate to level 100. The strongest titled Douluo in this world is a rank 99 titled Dalu. They are called ultimate Douluo, meaning that they are the limit of titled Dalu. Therefore, there are no rank 100 titled Dalu. Wang Feng was silent. Of course, he knew that a rank 100 titled Douluo meant that he was a god. He had surpassed the limit of titled Dalu. Perhaps he could not completely say that he was a god because even the gods in the Douluo world seemed to be divided into different levels. However, a rank 100 titled Douluo meant that he was at least half a step into the realm of gods. As for what it was like, Wang Feng did not know. This was only Wang Feng's understanding of the original Dalu. But in fact, it's not impossible for us to reach level 100. Bibidon continued. Oh! Wang Feng revealed a rare hint of doubt. In this world there are gods. Bibidon said indifferently, gods don't live in our world. They are higher than us and have the power to control everything in the world. There is only one way to reach level 100, and that is to inherit the power they left in our world, known as the God's inheritance. The condition to obtain the God's inheritance is to become a titled Dalu. The gods are high and mighty, and they will also choose the most outstanding among us humans as their successors. As long as we can pass their test, we will be able to surpass level 99 and become level 100 gods. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Bibidon was indeed planning to reveal some things about the Rakshasa secret realm to him. Although Wang Feng had not read the last part of the original story, he knew that Bibidon inherited the Rakshasa deity position. The Rakshasa deity was an extremely evil god, a natural-born villain. Thinking of this, Wang Fengxin could not help but be moved. The dark angel martial soul was also an extremely evil martial soul. But this kind of evil was purer, and it was an evil that controlled the 7 original emotions of all living beings. Qian Rinxue's 6-winged angel corresponded to the angel deity position. In the Douluo's world, there was a divine realm, and it seemed that there were many gods. As for which ones, Wang Feng was not sure. Was there any deity position related to the dark angel? There should not be. I see. Wang Feng nodded. I wonder how powerful the gods are. God. Perhaps Wang Feng felt that if he became a titled Douluo, he should be able to defeat them? Perhaps it was not possible. Wang Feng was not sure what level of power the gods were at. Of course, the power of the gods is strong. Bibidan's body suddenly shook, and 9 soul rings rose from her body. Wang Feng had seen Bibidan's soul rings once before, when they were in the Pope's palace. At that time there were 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black, and 1 red. But now there was 1 yellow, 3 purple, 4 black, and 1 red. The age of the soul rings had increased. Don't underestimate the transformation of a 100-year soul ring into a 1,000-year soul ring. There was no normal way to upgrade a soul ring. Unlike Wang Feng, whose extra reward for punching in was to increase the age of his soul rings. At this moment, Wang Feng also saw one of Bibidan's martial souls, the Death Spider Emperor. Logically speaking, it was not very good-looking, but it was not ugly either. But its aura was indeed very strong, the aura of a top-notch martial soul. Sometimes Wang Feng thought that when Bibidan was young, she should have been extremely beautiful. How could she have such a martial soul? There were thousands of evil martial souls. How could it be a spider? End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.